Hi everyone, welcome to Team Fortress TV. This is a pretty good game we have. I'm Ombrack. I'm joined with DuMmTm. Hi Dom, how you doing?
Pretty good, the 300 ping aside, but otherwise this should be fairly interesting. The first big match of the season, few more left to come, but this will probably be a good indicator of what last few will look like here, and obviously the winner should have an easier time getting into the grand finals where both of those two teams we have today want to be.
What do you mean first big game of the season? We had plenty of good games already, but this is one of the last few games that's gonna matter. This is, let's have some context. This is the upper bracket finals. Only 3 games remaining until the end of the season, and we know who is our winner. And for this upper bracket finals, we have the two best team of the season. We have on one side Se7en, and on the other side Ascent.EU. So pretty much who we expected to see at this stage of the competition when the season started. Pretty much the two teams we expect to see in the grand finals as well. But these aren't the grand finals yet. This is once more the upper bracket finals. And yeah, probably the 12 best players of Prem right now are gonna face each other. Um, before we go any further into any kind of matchup and stuff like that, I'd say we go through the roster so we know who we're dealing with tonight. And I said, DuMmTm, you just pick your team, go through the roster, and I'll do the second team.
True, on the blue side, unsurprisingly, we have the 7 squad lined up already. Raven on Medic, Flash and Tiger will be our scout duo, Cadus on Demoman, and Captain and Stark will be the soldier duo for 7, as they've played with pretty much the entire season.
Yeah, I think some of these players, I can recognize some of the names, so I think I've seen them before somewhere. I don't remember
Yeah,
where it was.
I remember a few instances of them beating the teams with you on. I think that happened.
And but the other team has quite a few renowned players as well. One that is hitting every shot in the warm-up right now is Silentes, who's going to play Pocket Soldier. The other soldier is going to be Drac, former 7 player himself. The medic is going to be Condog or Connor. Again, pick your poison, however you want to call him. He's going to drop no matter what. Does it really matter how we call him? I don't know. The demo man is going to be Dr. Phil, and the 2 scouts are Amps and Credu. So yeah, scary names all across the board. How shall we start with? Maybe with the map. The map is going to be Granary. Actually, no, this is what we're going to start with. These two teams, they played each other once this season. And Ascent is pretty much the only team who took a map from 7 during the regular season. So that's pretty telling how these two teams are matching up against each other.
Definitely,
Yeah.
and one of those maps immediately got banned from 7th Centi as well, which isn't entirely surprising, since, if it's the weakness, better avoid it unless you have improved it massively, and with the caliber of Ascent's roster on the other side, improving to that level quickly is gonna be quite a bit of work, so the product ban makes perfect sense.
And so the first map is going to be Granary. The second map we will see for sure is going to be Gullywash. It's a pick from.
No. It's banned, Gullywash. It's pigs.
Oh yeah, of course. So, yeah, I can't read. My bad. I'm already too into it. So yeah, Granary 7's pick. Then we're going to see Snake, who's not really surprisingly Ascent's pick, because Snake is somewhat renowned as the weak map for 7. And if decider there is, it's going to be on process. So whatever the map, how many maps we'll see, we're going to see only classic maps. Maps that we've seen around forever. But yeah, Granary first. This is 7's pick. There are probably quite a few reasons behind this. First of all, 7 is pretty good at Granary, and Ascent looked like they struggled a bit on the map the last few times they played it, namely against Swift in the first playoff round, where they lost against Ascent lost against Swift on Granary. So probably one of the reasons why we see this map first.
Yeah, I would agree. It perfectly lines up as a comfortable pit for 7, as well as what doesn't seem to be one at all for Ascent on the other side. So it just works both ways perfectly fine for 7 here. And that's probably the higher thinking here, and not anything much else going into that. They're just really strong on it, and they saw Ascent struggle, so it just works either way. Otherwise, first ban was actually Sunshine for Ascent, which is also mildly interesting, because I think they did serviceable on it so far, but seems like they'd rather want to avoid that than Granary, which it's understandable if we would have the inside knowledge, which we sadly don't. So we must just imagine that they just rather want to see something on than Granary. So they probably, you can just assume, have worked on it and have some better hope for this time.
And when you're 7, you probably just think you're the better team, so might as well remove as many unpredictability as you can. And by banning Sunshine, you make sure you know the map like your back pocket, and there's no way you can be surprised, is there? But I think when you play against the likes of Amps and Credo, there's always a way to get surprised, and I'm interested to see how these guys will perform. We remember Amps had a really poor performance on Granary last time we saw him against Swift again. It was still that playoff game where Amps wasn't really in that game. He fed a lot, he tried to go for weird plays, it didn't quite work out. Do you reckon that's the kind of that X factor that Amps can bring will be one of the reasons as Ascent can take that?
I think it doesn't necessarily come down to like aim or any sort of mechanical stuff as much as just mentality and having like proper calls that the situation require, not just like chaos calls, which I think was like much more the main issue against Swift on Granary, where everything else afterwards seemed much more controlled within Ascent itself compared to Granary, and that was the big difference. So if they just have better strats lined up for any single moment of the map, and it's just going to be a much better game already.
And one of the other reasons we could be seeing Granary here is there's not that much for sniper, right? And I think there's a couple good sniper on that server, and Credo is obviously one of them. I don't know if you've seen that crazy legacy video from Peter about Credo, but it looked like this guy was hitting so many shots. I even doubt at some point that it was legit, but yeah, I mean it's Credo. You gotta be legit, right?
Yeah, if you're Credo, you're just that good, and on Seven's end, you're fortunate if there's a map in rotation where, at the very least, only last is a decent sniper spot, and much more so on the defense than from the offense, I would say as well, because you always have to have somebody open the door for you, where on the defense, you just kind of sit back and wait for people to come your way instead. So it limits sniper much more. So from mid to second, it's really awkward. You have to go all the way in. It can work if you catch people by surprise somehow, if you can coordinate it well with some distraction, but at that point, you might as well just sack people in already to begin with.
True. It's more on the coordination. It's gonna more rely on coordination in your sack plays more than any kind of classes. But you never know; these kind of players can pop off at pretty much any given time. So we'll keep an eye on that. We have 12 players on the server, but yeah, it looks like they're having some kind of technical issues. I see Drac, namely complaining about some stuff about the server. So we might be a bit more delayed. So let's talk about what's at stake tonight, and it's a pretty big thing. It's a place straight into the grand finals. No game, no additional game to play. If you win this, you're just straight into the grand finals with the ability to control the map pick. So some would say it's not enough. Some would say it's alright, pretty good already. But in the end, this is what's going to happen. And if the losing team, on the other hand, will have to play one more game, one extra game against Swift in the loser bracket final, and the winner of that game will face again, will come back into the grand finals with another shot at taking the crown. So yeah, some kind of things are at stakes. It looks like a grand finals, but this is not a grand finals yet. And if you go to a bit of the prediction realm, I would say Se7en are kind of used to that situation where they kind of won convincingly on their upper bracket run one. They're used to be in the upper bracket finals, and they are used to go straight to the grand finals. They don't really know what happens in the lower bracket finals. It's not really their domain, and I don't know. Do you think there's a possibility for an upset here, Dom?
I think there is, but I don't think Granary is the map for it. They would. I feel like this is just after seeing last week at least, unless they like hugely improve, which is not ever impossible at all, but it's just such a huge task, and I think it would come down to the second and third map here for Ascent to take. It's Snakewater is a decent map for them, much more of a troublesome one for Se7en. The process is a fairly even one. I would imagine from what I've seen over the course of the season for both teams, they feel both fairly comfortable on it. And if it comes down to that, it should be a nail biter for sure. So I can see this easily go to 3 maps and be really close. What I'm also interested in is what we haven't talked about yet is the DuMmTm matchup here, because both Cadis and Dr. Phil sometimes have just matches where they completely pop off, and sometimes they just have much more quiet ones. So that will be interesting to see who can be the more consistent one of the two today.
Yeah, but in that little one-on-one, I would still give the edge to Cadis, because I feel like you mentioned sometimes they really have really great games stat-wise, and sometimes they're a little more discreet. But I would say when Cadis doesn't have that big of a game on logs, he still has quite some impact on the game, just solely because he's main calling, but also because he's he's been there forever, around for ages. He knows everything about the game, so he still has that kind of little additional touch that makes him the player that he is. Whereas when Phil has a bad game, it's an actual bad game. Like, there's really little redeeming for a bad game for Phil. So it's gonna be really important that he has a good game tonight. And because I feel like him having a bad game is more detrimental to his team overall. I feel like Se7en is a really well-oiled machine. Whereas
Salantis is roasting you in the chat, Ombrack. Feels
oh
Batman.
no, well, I'm not reading chat because I don't care
Well,
for haters. I don't care for haters.
Well, you're also missing the part where we're changing server, because all of this is just one big April Fool's joke.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, we're not playing, by the way. There's no game.
This was all just a setup.
Yeah, thanks for joining. We'll see you tomorrow, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure yet. I mean, Ascent left the server. Se7en is still here. So.
Oh, is that a default?
Ooh, maybe. No, the server's closing. Okay. Yeah, okay. Just making sure we got official information here. But yeah, looks like it's a server switch. I think I saw a drag complaining about the ping a bit. So they just want optimal conditions and optimal time wasting.
So we should get a new connect soon enough. I hope we start soon, because if it goes to 3 map like you mentioned, we're gonna need some time to cover all that, and I don't want to end up casting until 1 a.m. or something.
Especially if there's another 30-minute golden cap.
I don't remember that. I don't know what it's about. I think all the previous playoffs games have been really swift, and nothing made us wait forever and almost die in boredom. So I don't know what's that about.
I don't know how fast beta is, but I already found a new server. And everybody's already here, so we should hurry up before they start without camera in the server. Let's see
they're
if
gonna
I can
wait for
find
us.
the info.
It's all about exposure. I don't see any reason why this guy would play with our eyes straight looking at them. So I'm sure they're gonna wait for us. Again, for people who just joined, no, the game is not over yet. It hasn't started. Don't be fooled. This is still the upper bracket finals between Ascent and Se7en. Still a place in the final is at stake. I think we're getting a connect. I don't know what it was. I'm getting a little piece, like a puzzle that I have to figure out the solution.
That's all the info I have, unfortunately.
So I'll put my brain to work, and I'll try to crack the code and join the teams, and then we can see where we have. But yeah, I think at the moment, chat, you're as blind as we are, and all you can do is wait and see how we can do to fix that situation.
Maybe we
and
do
I just
have
quit my game, so that's really smart.
I saw AMS introduce the option of having a heavy fist fight to the side wings, so that would be a way to start for our server to be set up here on production as well. And I think we have stuff going now. There we go, yeah.
Yeah, nice. We have a connect. I hope these players wait for me to restart my game and join the server, otherwise it's going to be a little disappointing.
That's fine.
Have wait all that time for not to miss the start of the game.
I kind of want to see the heavy fist fight, to be honest, now that Amps brought it up.
Is there actually going to be one?
I don't know. He introduced the option. I don't see anybody discuss it.
To determine who's going to take it to the finals?
I mean, that would be one way to do it, I guess, but I assume if it were to happen, then just for the like team color, I guess. Because that's usually how that works. I think that's actually an official rule as well, right? In ETF2L. If you can't decide on the team color, you decide it by heavy fist fight.
Yeah, but at this point, I think these people are grown up enough that
you say that, but it happened. Okay. The precedent has been set many of times that this happens.
But this is Premiership where teams are on time and there's no drama and everything goes smoothly. So yeah, before we start, let's not forget to tune in that there's a little event in 2 weeks and a half from now. It's called Copenhagen Games. It's gonna have some TF2 in it. So if you're attending, good. If you're not, it's okay. You can still watch the action. It's gonna be somewhere on the internet, and many
That's
good teams.
very accurate.
Many good teams are gonna be there, are gonna attend. It's gonna be a hell of a fun weekend. So make sure
Yeah,
you.
and even Feint Gaming will be there.
Yeah, so that's less fun. But apart from that, there's going to be some action on every other games where Feint isn't involved. There's going to be a lot of action and no golden cap that lasts forever. And then there's going to be Feint.
Yeah, it's kind of tragic. Oh, that's just how the world is.
And it looks like they want to get another server because why not?
Well, Celentus has the insight here that let's not waste any more time until midnight. He's currently the only one with that opinion, but I heavily agree with his point.
Yeah, but midnight for him is not the same midnight as it is for us because we're late.
Yeah, but that's only because time zones are weird.
Maybe this is why we're getting delayed. These people, they haven't changed their time zone. They don't know we are on summertime now, and they're stuck in the past. They're them fools. They don't know what's going on. But yeah, I love waiting. I don't know about you guys in chat, but I think waiting is one of the most exciting thing you can do.
I mean, that explains a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many things you can do. You can set up strats. You can talk about life. Drop an Uber every once in a while. There's so many things you can do while waiting. It's never wasted time. But yeah, Copenhagen Games, look at that. There's going to be a lot of Prem teams. If I'm correct, if my little birds are correct, there's going to be Se7en, there's going to be Ascent, there's going to be Feint, there's going to be Lego, there's going to be the Theorists. I'm probably missing other things.
You've already missed Swift.
Oh, Swift. Sure. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think I have cognitive bias about them. I don't know why, but yeah, there's going to be Swift. Yay for them. And other Prem mixes. So honestly, a pretty good looking LAN. So check out.
I think we're like one team away from hitting like the max capacity too.
Which is
like 27 of 28 teams have signed up.
Are you counting Highlander teams?
No, that's like a separate thing.
Is that even a thing?
Yes, it is.
Oh, crap.
You might not realize, but because that's probably when you're gonna be eating and not playing TF2.
True. God bless Highlander. Wait, are we allowed to say God on this channel? Let that man above the clouds bless Highlander for giving us regular people time to eat and rest in games.
Oh wait, I just tried to open it and I accidentally opened the old Copenhagen Games website. There we go.
It's another Hyper's Fall, which still haven't started, chat. But I trust these people. I think it's gonna start soon. It looked like they're going for a third server, a third time the charm. I think that's how you say it in your language in English.
I think the big brain play to make is just at this point to join the server before the other team and then immediately claim a default win because they haven't all 6 people on the server.
Is that big plane or big rude mean boy?
I mean, both, but it's entirely possible. Granted, I doubt any of them will do this. Because, you know,
like this is a stop of the sportsmanship.
European sportsmanship. You feel that kind of thing maybe an open or low will happen. And people probably being shot down for it as well, because immediately a second after there's like 12 people on the server, but I doubt that didn't happen at any point in ETF2L. I feel like that's something that did happen at some point.
Okay, 10 players. I count 10 players. Critters on spec, that's 11, and only missing one.
Some insane counting. You must be really good at Medic.
Yeah, I'm really good at counting Ubers, that kind of stuff. I should play TF2 competitively, I think. Starkey's joining as well. That's the 12th person required to start that game, so we should start soon. Let's say a third time again. I mean, third server. Might as well say the game a third time as well. This is the upper bracket finals between Ascent.EU and Se7en. This is Premiership in a nutshell, basically. It's 21-43 in my lovely country, and we haven't started yet. So this is pretty much every day.
That's just classic TF2. Yeah, this is classic TF2. It wouldn't be TF2 without wasting a lot of time before the games.
Nothing unusual to see there.
That's what teams are doing when they scrim until exactly when the game is supposed to be scheduled, because then you don't have any extra time to figure out the servers before the game is supposed to happen.
Yeah, we did our best. We tried to lose really quickly, so Ascent could be ready in time.
That's what it was about?
Yeah.
That clearly explains why you walked into that sticky trap on the corner on Snakewater second.
but it wasn't cold, to be fair. But let's not gibber on what's unfortunate. In the end, it happened. Se7en is ready. They're called Se7en. I love it. Now we're waiting for Ascent.EU to ready as well, and we can have some lovely TF2 action on Granary, which is gonna be the first map of that series. We are ready. This is happening. This is season 32, playoffs, upper bracket finals between Ascent and Se7en, and this is the first map of possibly what is gonna be a best of 3. Well, it is a best of 3, but maybe third map. We'll see how it goes, but first we need to see how that first mid goes. And I see Kate is going through Catwalk while Dr. Bill is making his way through the bottom right area. They're trading a little spam, but nothing really happening. We're gonna wait for bombers to come in. Se7en, as soon as he crosses that door, he just bombing in as well, helped by Drac. Don't really define actually the demo man, but what a waste here, because there was no actual follow-up. And now it's coming, but it's kind of an even fight. A scout, a soldier, and a medic up for both sides. Bomb coming from Se7en. Captain cratered into the ground. Talash and Raymond have no other escape, but that little door on the bottom left that they're leaving now. This is the first mid, and that was weird.
It was fairly close. Yeah, Se7en just employed the standard strategy of just bombing the demo man as hard as they can, while having the scouts just far back, trying to protect from the other side aggression, but they couldn't deal too much of that. Dragon still got a lot of damage done, and the follow-up was better on the center side to just about get more kills here, get all the way to yard, and now trying to make some moves into second with both medics still up on the field. Surviving the mid-fight, this will be a lot harder, having even Uber here. Let's see what they have in store. Sticky traps around the corner. Still is moving up top and looking to make some sort of play. He gets his 300 health slowly but surely. Stark has different ideas, spams him down, and Se7en is mostly ready for this. Let's see if still has something to say. And for now, it's just a single lonely rocket hitting Raymond.
Yeah, that was a decent attempt, but you can see at the start of the game, we're still really early into that playoff bracket, so both teams, they don't really want to risk too much. Straki went for a sack on his own. He got picked up by Credu, and when I say picked up, I mean killed. So it's gonna be a again even situation. This is pretty much Granary for you guys. This is sometimes called a 7 CP map because that yard area can be really tricky to push in and to push out from. So we should probably see that a lot if both teams are at an equal skill level tonight. And Ubers are even. Stark is on Spy, but I'm assuming he's only checking for off classes, and this is exactly what he's doing. He's gonna go back on his roaming duty back on top to spam. Kate is on his own right side with a sticky trap, maybe gonna try to bait someone into that garage.
Oh yeah, he moved quite a bit further forward than he normally has it, which obviously could catch people by surprise if they're not careful, so I liked a little bit of adaptation here. It's not a huge thing. Normally the trap is just a bit further back, not on the actual shutter door, but this way he might have just about the time to put that on somebody. For now, he just spams over the point though, and Se7en just warded into that. Doesn't have the time to escape or jump over the point in the first place. Quickly denied. Whatever play this was even supposed to be didn't happen in the first place. Stark now pretending to play Spy here, but I think Credu saw him immediately going down, drop down, and a bit of spam onto the left side to make his escape harder. Won't catch anybody out, but it doesn't matter too much as Ascent didn't lose anyone else here.
And Drac once more going through that set, but the sticky trap from Kidis is killing the attempt as soon as it starts. And now I see Starkey and Thaga maybe going into the right side. Captain is there. Starkey going all the way behind. He's been spotted though. He's going to be chased by two players. Credo is there getting another frag onto the roamer. And it's going to be once more a reset. Both teams, they don't want to take any risks so far, but I'm expecting Amps to take the beam and try to go on the left side. This is what he's doing on Lunchbox with the help of Se7en. And with Starkey that they know there's no roamer to deny them. Amps is going in, but it's getting cleaned up as soon as he opens that door because Captain is there. And again, Ascent, they have to be happy with falling back. But Captain with a huge airshot coming out of Zed. It doesn't give Kondok any chance here with two nice rockets. Gets the frag, gets the drop, and this is it. This,
but they're still pushing, they don't want to waste any time. They want the force of the Raymond, and I said it pre-game before the stream started. Every time Connor dies, they all go really aggressive. They have a goal immediately once Connor dies, and they get the force anyway. Connor drops, and suddenly second is in their possession. This is such a typical thing Ascent does. It's sometimes you just have the feeling that Connor holds them back. Where just immediately after he drops, they just all go in, kill all of them, only two alive, the fourth goes down. And Draymond and whatever scout it was next to him just have to escape. And it's just a big brain plays coming out by Connor to make his team play aggressive for once.
And a really superb reaction here from Ascent, and somehow they dropped their medic. They won that fight. You mentioned how they do that quite often, and it looks like it's a particular trait of Ascent. And now they're looking to push onto the right hand side. They don't have Uber yet. Drag dies, was on the flank, got killed by Starkey in the little top room, but there's an Uber ad in the hands of Raymond, but Talash is on Sniper, Tiger is on NG, so there's no will from Se7en to push out of their last here. They're quite happy to sit back and relax and see what happens. Talash picking the left, was getting chased by Amps. Amps was getting the frag, and he escapes as well. Really nice play here from the Finnish scout, who just here went for the kill and left perfect field behind, tried to go for a little spam, but it was Se7en who died in a second attempt. Amps once more onto the left, he's feeling that game. He tried to go for Raymond here, but the captain was looking at him, and once more captain didn't let any chance of living for his enemy. It looks like captain is having on his own a pretty good game as well. So it's gonna be another reset. Still Talash on Sniper, still Tiger on NG. Se7en are gonna wait once more. Raymond being quite far forward onto the right hand side is going back to the pipe, and no off classes though. Amps actually delayed a bit in spawn, so he wouldn't have been spotted by a spy right away. He's gonna be on Sniper. We usually see Credo play Sniper here, but this time it's gonna be Amps, but rest easy because he's finished too. He's a really good scout too, and this is not Credo, this is Amps, and he can hit bullets in the head.
Ooh, that one wasn't quite good enough. The second one will be doing the job just fine. Flash going down, he was stuck, only took one to the body. That opens up actually a lot of opportunities. No Sniper to have to deal with high bomb by Captain, looks for some damage, gets a bit of it, but doesn't deny the sideline much afterwards, because he's also going weak, so Amps can continue peeking with Phil on the backup. They get Tiger, they almost get the gun, Amps gets jumped anyway. Everybody falls so weak across the board for Centaur. They need to be careful, because Stark is still waiting up top to just rain in a little bit more. Everybody needs to be careful here that corner doesn't drop again, and it goes worse this time around. So backing off eventually here with now Amps down, but with the sentry down, there's still an option to play for, and they try their hardest to get the damage in, and Se7en will find it. Flash too late on the body shot there. Nicely done by Ascent, not letting the sentry pick go to waste here.
Yeah, Se7en gave away his life to get that force. Really well play here from the pocket, and this is gonna be a full Uber ad for Scent, and Amps is on Spy. He's gonna check for off classes. He's no back on Scout, and Talash swapped that sniper of his for a little minigun, a little heavy, and it's gonna be a tough hole to break for Scent. Even though they have the Uber ad, they have a lot of ground to cover before they can get to Raymond into that gun. Let's see how they want to take it. It looks like they want to go from top, maybe leading with Amps. This is exactly what they're going to do. Amps is taking that Uber in charge with Dr. Phil on top, but he's getting cleaned up. He's getting dropped by Conduct. The nice pipes here from Cadus. Dr. Phil gets the gun eventually, but this is not enough. He's getting cleaned up as well by Captain. This is going really bad now for Ascent. They have to go back. They dropped 2 in that Uber, and it's going to be probably a reset on yard. They can't fight second anymore. Cadus dies though to a Se7en. Really nice play here. Was behind. Maybe going to throw things down, but in the end, Raymond has a 90% Uber, and Ascent are gonna be on the back foot until before long. I see Captain going through that shoulder with the help of his 2 scouts. Both Credo Amps falling really weak. The Uber is being used. Nice force here onto Raymond. Kind of maybe a bad Uber here because Condog can escape. That Uber was really early. Condog falling kind of weak. Dr. Phil as well, but they managed to escape. And even though they conceded the middle point here, I think this is the best that Ascent could have gotten out of this situation.
Yeah, it was really risky to go for the fight on second to begin with. Raymond was so close to having Uber to begin with. They definitely ran into the risk of them just popping into him straight on guard, but they just about had the time to get the force out while escaping and getting back in time here. So that all worked out really nicely for Ascent to get back into an Uber advantage that they now actually need to convert off better than they did on last year. It's also dwindling away right now. They're not really making any plays of this. And this is such a big wasted opportunity since they worked so hard to get to this position in the first place. But it looks like they're not confident into this push right now. They might have just not felt like they were fast enough. So they just settled with at least neutralizing into stalemate again.
Yeah, but maybe Ascent playing a bit against their own nature. We know they like to be really aggressive and had 50% that, but Granary can be really unforgiving if you fail your push onto mids, because there's so much high ground for the defending team that it can be quite tricky to make use of your advantage. And now Ascent are gonna wait and they're gonna hold on their yards. Kind of pretty far forward actually. I don't really know if I like that positioning, but this is what he's doing, and he's gonna be careful but not being jugged by Stark. He's lurking on the right hand side, trying to see if he can have an opportunity at Condog. Condog sees that and he has to go back, and it's pretty much up now to Se7en to do something, but it's hard to break, hard hole to break here.
Yeah, definitely. They're just bunching up in garage, trying to spam some of their own into Connor's direction and maybe have somebody follow up quickly, but so far not too much. It's looking like it's sticking at the medic's direction, so not really anything of that happening in garage, and they're taking a bunch of damage themselves. So eventually they have to back off, buff up again, and try for another opportunity. And like we said, sniper on this isn't entirely impossible to use, it's just fairly impractical with the sightlines being bad. So soldiers usually are the ones jumping. Stark in this case going up high here. Connor sees it coming from miles away, can escape all the way into the second point. Has the pack in there as well. Everybody else just blocking Stark from even getting close in the first place, so nicely denied there on Ascent. Are they doing anything in return though? One player pick is not huge, but maybe just enough to have an easier time to get onto the medic here.
Ascent trying to make their way onto the left hand side. The bomb is coming from Se7en, gets to Rock and Raymond. Raymond reserves away, he has the nerves not to use that Uber. Well played here from the Se7en's medic, and that bomb from Se7en was actually pretty close to be efficient. And if Raymond didn't had the nerve here, it would have been a pretty damn well played here for Ascent. But again, it didn't quite work out in the end, and we're back to the same exact situation. But this time Ascent are being a bit more careful. They lost their pocket, they're playing a bit back. They're giving more ground to Captain and Starky. Captain going in, and Starky died to Credo on the flank as well. So both soldiers are in quite an awkward position here, one being in spawn and the other on the back foot. And again, both teams, we set up couple times already, both teams taking things really cautiously here. They don't want to take any risk, because when you play against a team that's pretty much as good as you are, even if you concede a round, it's going to be pretty tough to go back in. Se7en went back in. He went for the sack again. It's interesting to see that it's Se7en who's sacking all the time and not Drac, because holding that flank on Granary is so important that you can't afford to lose your roamer, otherwise you're going to be in a really bad position. The bomb coming on that exact flank from Starky. Drax lose that 2v1. Saiga was there to assist his roamer, and now Ascent are on the back foot once more. They have to go back, they have to fight inside their second, and they know about this. They're living, they're giving the yard to Se7en, who's quite happy to take that. And are they going to capitalize on that death from Drac? There's nobody for Ascent watching that flank but a scout. And Se7en is taking their time. They don't want to be too risky about this. The Uber is being used actually. Trade coming on to conduct. 2 players from Ascent committed. And Captain is going behind. That's a classic play here that we see really often, but nothing really works out. This little was a sticky trap from Cadis onto the wall in second, but once again, that trade is really classic and obvious, but Se7en wasn't able to make anything with it this time.
Yeah, like you said, they really like having Captain go behind, but Ascent saw it coming, had people stationed up top already, and he immediately saw it as well, so he didn't overcommit into the trap that Ascent put there. He just escaped immediately, not wanting to have the situation go worse, just settled with an exchange that effectively did nothing for either team. Be better than losing out in the middle of the fight here, so nice adaptation there on both sides to not have this go any worse than it should be, and this will reset once again to a little bit of a stalemate. But as we saw on outside area of second, Se7en has some nice little plays here every once in a while where they can just capitalize really nicely for one player advantage. See if they can at least start one here right now and get in a position for the moment. Again, both teams, like you said, playing fairly passive, not wanting to lose out on much, because Granary, once you're on the back foot, stalemating can be much worse.
And the Uber are being traded once again onto the second point. Captain once again going behind, but this time he has more room because there was some preemptive spam, so the flank is weak onto Ascent, and now Se7en are fighting onto that point. They get Se7en, they get Kudu as well. Only Starky died. Dr. Phil, there's no demo for Ascent now. This is looking really bad for the European Ascent team. They have to go back, but the Captain and Kados are just going in. They're getting another frag onto Arms, Drac as well. It's only conduct, and really nice execution from Se7en here, taking that map inch after inch, and it just was nice focus fire, nice adaptation to the hold from Ascent.
Yeah, and they love the exchanges inside seconds, so not just having no idea what to do after one single small adaptation by Ascent, but continuously going for them, trying to find a better answer than before is really well paying off for Se7en right now. Took them quite a while, but that's just how the map goes, and like I said, a lead here into another long stalemate can be so detrimental for Ascent.
This is the second mid. We're almost hitting the mid timer on the map, 15 minutes soon. The bomb are coming from both teams, but this is only a decoy for the one on Se7en. They're trying to go onto Dragon Se7en. They're doing that perfectly, both scouts claiming a frag onto the sniper, onto the soldiers I mean, and now this should be an easy fight for Se7en. What am I saying? I'm being confused. And Se7en are gonna now make their way onto the Arcadis, try to see if he could jump in, but both Phil and Kondok were out of sight already. They're gonna be on their last because Se7en is gonna put a little campsite onto the second point, and there's no way Ascent can fight for this.
Yeah, much more reserved mid from Se7en all around. Didn't commit people in as aggressively, and none of them died this time. Just took care of Ombrack and Se7en really nicely and played from there fairly conservatively to take mid point and the second point on top of that with the picks they got. Flash checking out what's on last, nothing too much of interest, so he decides to pick up the sniper rifle as we've seen before. Credo returning the favor without even knowing if there is anything on the other side or not. Just like I said, it's the comfort of just being able to sit and spawn and snipe things that come your way fairly easily. With amps down right now, they still need to be a bit careful. No scout with the medic is always really sketchy.
Now we see two snipers, one for Credo, one for Talash. Both of them pretty well known for their skills with a sniping rifle. And Talash tried to peek onto the right hand side, but it didn't quite work out because Phil is there. He's looking around. Credo went for a hero shot, but Tiger was there. He was looking at him, and now Se7en, they're one up. They're trying to go in the right side, try to see if Talash can see the head of Kondok, but the bomb is coming from Stark. He gets another drop onto Kondok, who drops again. Really nice really nice jump here from Starkey onto Kondok, who probably could have used here. He was a bit too greedy here, and now Se7en are gonna make their way onto last. There's no heals on the side of Ascent. This is probably a free push for Se7en if they do that correctly. They're going in. Uber is just onto the left side, onto Cadris, who jumps that gun, and now Tiger is trying to go across the point to see if he can find anything. He finds Dr. Phil. Huge pick here from Tiger, and now this probably is gonna be a win for Se7en. All they have to do is focus Tiger target, but Credo is there. Hits two headshot. Raymond dies as well in the hands of Amps, and what a hold here. It looked lost, but Credo was there.
And you hyped him up pre-game, and it certainly pays off for Ascent here just now. The sidelines elsewhere on the map might be bad, but on last he just has the freedom he needs, and that's all it takes for Credo sometimes, being able to hit these shots and turn this completely around in a matter of a few seconds. What started so well after just a single small distraction into Stark walking in for free to get the drop. But just complete turnaround here. Now they just need to be careful. Flash is still waiting in the forward spawn, and they didn't check it until now. Takes a bit of a peek but doesn't hit. They head off Dr. Phil. Se7en still alone all the way deep, goes down. Abs and Credo leading this in for the team, trying to make some space, but with one down, Se7en seems to be having some different ideas about giving this up, and Stark will be losing his life vote.
Captain is in, and they don't know about this, do they? Captain is trying to go in. He has almost had a rocket onto Kondok, but this time Kondok was joking correctly. But yeah, somehow Ascent managing to turn the tables around. I don't know how they're doing that, but yeah, I guess when you have a sniper as potent as Credo, this is what's happening. Both teams have Uber now. Ascent had a small Uber at like around 40%, but Se7en was smart enough to play as slow as possible so they would get their own Uber because Ascent was ready to push. And the Credo died in the flank trying to go for a sack play, but nothing was achieved this time. In the Ascent, they're going to hold their yard with only Drac holding the left hand side. He's almost winning that one-on-one against Starkey, but he has to go back because Tiger is there to help his roamer. And is Credo back maybe on the sniper? No, he's back on Scar, and maybe there's a plan here in the back of the heads of Ascent. They are holding their right yard. They're losing, and on Granary, 12 minutes, it can go down really quickly if you don't do anything, because this map could be so stalematy. So Ascent actually don't have that much time on their hands if they want to make it a tie and possibly a win. They have to create something out of this really stale situation.
Yeah, and we've seen Se7en struggle a bit with the situation. They got it eventually, but they had one failed exchange here before, so it's now on to Ascent to maybe see how they can improve on what they saw go wrong, and good things that also happened for Se7en in the similar situation on these exchanges, assuming that's their plan. So far, we've not seen too many of those for Ascent. We've seen, I think, Se7en go for one single play onto Raymond, which was about the most they've really done on this point so far, so there's still a lot to be seen for what they have in store here. For the moment, it looks like they want to just go forward into the shutter door, have Se7en take the aggression with an exchange straight onto the combo. Captain gets dropped by Raymond. This could be good or really detrimental, and for the moment it seems to be working out. They lose one, but they keep the Uber intact for now. But there's people still going down, and Se7en gets all the way onto Raymond. 2 for 2. Much later Uber here for Se7en, but it might just be worth it still, because they will be able to clean people up with the invincibility. Pick up Dr. Phil, and they're still going with it.
The Kondok manages to escape here, but Cadus is there. Cadus bombs into the ramp room. Can he get the frag onto Kondok? No, Kondok manages to escape, but everyone from Se7en is now on the prowl. Credu dies. Kondok almost left alone. He left onto his own ramp room, and Se7en will be able to take that mid. Amps was there on the backline trying to go for Raymond, but Raymond holding that Uber forever onto second, basically winning the fight for Se7en, winning the mid as well, because now Se7en they have the free push onto the middle point, but Talaj died on the flank. There was a sticky from Dr. Phil while Se7en was trying to push onto the left hand side. Starkey, Captain went through, got cleaned up by Drac, and now it's 2 frags in favor of Ascent. They probably can make their way onto that middle fight, the pipe coming from Cadus, not denying Ascent. They're just going in. Ascent holding tight onto that Uber, but Phil dropped, he cratered on the ground and got killed once more. It didn't. Looks like Kondok was betting a bit too much maybe, but in the end this is what happened. Phil died. It's a 1-4-2, but the demo man could be so important here, the demo man pick, but no, Se7en, they don't want to make it, they don't want to risk it. It's 9 minutes now, 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Ubers are even, there's no demo on the side of Ascent, and they're probably going to wait for him, but maybe Se7en will try to make something. And no, it's actually Ascent who tried to go in. Credu is leading that fight onto the right side. He's getting cleaned up, but now the Ubers are being traded. It looks alright for Ascent because Raymond has to flash so many people into that fight, but now there's not enough player for Ascent. They get some frags, but Kondok completely left alone, almost left alone, but no, Credu was there to help his medic, and no, it looks like that fight is going onto the side of Ascent somehow. They had a better Uber and it made all the difference.
Yeah, they just created this chaotic fight and just completely surrounded Se7en. Like you said, Raymond had to flash everything and couldn't quite manage to save everybody. Amps already in a point, but spawners are coming. 3 still down, but they spawn any second. They need to be fast here on the Ascent. Drag straight off the point, get some good damage. Amps cleans it up, and the rest of them in with that as well. There we go. That's what they needed. They just needed to play this as quickly as they could. No time wasted, straight onto the point and clean this one up for themselves. 8.5 minutes and we have a tie again.
Yeah, Ascent showing some character here, and I didn't expect them to win that fight because they pushed without the demo, but somehow they managed to get the better Uber with Amps forcing Raymond to flash so many people from Se7en, and it made the difference. And now it's third mid. You mentioned it's a tie, it's 1-1, and we need a winner here on that first map. Cadus is on the high ground, spamming stickies on the at Ascent. Kondok is playing top as well. He's so forward, the bomb coming his way. He's there, he's juking rockets, but can he juke forever? He's weak on the right hand side. He's getting bombed once more. Kondok survives with 20 HP somehow. And on the other side, Fager and Ramon, they have to escape. Yes, Ramon is escaped, but he didn't commit at all. So everybody for Se7en died. And the Ascent is going to win that fight almost solely of the backs of the jukes from Kondok.
Yeah, it's admirable in some sense that Se7en keep trying to make different things happening on these mid-fights, but it's clearly visible that this one just wasn't the way to go. The bombs did absolutely nothing and they just get cleaned up off the back of that so quickly. Raymond out of mid immediately with that as well to at least have the Uber for last, but let's see what Ascent has to say on the last point. For now, they just go straight in, or at least Phil will, trying to find some damage here, not finding too much of that. Amps going down on top of that, that's 2 down. And while 2 down is doable without a demo man, you just have lost so much area control here that Se7en just feels like they are being invited straight into second here. Let's see what Ascent does with Celentis still being close.
The Uber is being used onto Celentis, but Raymond is nowhere to be seen. He's holding back onto the left side and Celentis can't reach him at all. So that Uber has been used to waste, and Celentis, nice reaction here, going top, clinging the frag onto Captain, maybe slowing down a bit Se7en, but no, Se7en, they know they have the Uber ad now. There's a lot of flank action on the side of Drac, who went for Raymond again, but Raymond, tonight, you don't want to use this Uber
Assassin's Creed and immediately kills Raymond. They thought they were safe, but he just decloaks up top, jumps down, gets the medic, and suddenly the advantage is back to Ascent here, as long as they can keep themselves alive. With Amp still on spy, they have one less player, you would think, but Amp just keeps going. What game does he play? Clearly not TF2, he just keeps going, stabbing people. Doesn't matter if the back is turned or not, and this is such a big advantage for Ascent right now.
Yeah, Raymond avoided both Celentis and Drac. He thought he was safe, but Amps was there, were lurking in the backlines, invisible, and got the crucial drop onto Raymond, and now Ascent are looking like they're on the driver's seat. They have a small Uber rad, they're pushing onto that second point. Se7en has no choice but to give that up and to hold on their last. Now there's a gun on the right side. Thago is building a level 3 sentry gun behind a little wall, and just a 30% Uberad for Ascent. Do they know about this? Do they want to use it? It looks like they won't try to go onto the left hand side, but the spawn for Starkey delaying them forever. They don't go in. It's not going to be that anymore, boys, but they don't care. They're still going. They haven't used yet. It's pretty nice adaptation here. They got the gun without even forcing the Uber, but now it's done. The Ubers are being traded on last. It looks kind of equal, but there's a heavy, and the heavy could make all the difference. The little meat sack just tanking all damage. Raymond died in that situation, so did Condog. So in the end, it's not that bad for Sen, but in the end, that Uber ad was a bit wasted here.
Yeah, they wanted to walk this in all the way deep, and that worked really well in that regard, but they didn't get too much else beyond it. They got in, got the gun, and at that point it just felt like the plan was like quickly falling apart. They just used in and still couldn't really follow Raymond well at all. Lost too many players, Connor got stuck. The silver lining was that Se7en was pretty much just hiding the entire time to get the drop onto Raymond here, or the kill on him, I should say. And now they just want to re-aggress post-Uber here with no Uber to speak of on any side. They just get stuffed immediately and lose 3 straight away, only for a single pick. Phil goes down late as well. Only Credu and Se7en up top waiting for something to happen. Straight onto Raymond, but he misses one rocket and can't get the second one out in time. Raymond just barely stays alive there.
It could be the fight because that's going to make all the difference here, though, because I don't know, maybe Ascent thought they had a bit better advantage at what they actually had. They went into that fight onto second point and committed a lot of bodies, and Thago was free to pick up Condog and to get the frag, and now Se7en are going to push with a 70% Uber Rad. Raymond made his way through the left hand side with only 60 HPs. Now he's getting forced by Drac. Really nice play here, salvaging the situation, and Arms died as well. Dr. Field died as well. Maybe this is not the salvation as well. Maybe this is doom for Ascent if they can't slow down that aggression from Se7en, and it looks like they can't slow it down whatsoever. Credu died as well. It's now Se7en. He can't do it. What a round for Se7en. What a reaction here.
Oh, what a huge turnaround. Ascent just had them on the back foot for so long, and suddenly one or two small mistakes just turned this around completely into Se7en's favor. And again, little time left on the round here. 3.5 minutes is all Ascent has to work with to once again claw it back. They did it before, but now with even less time it will be harder than before.
Last time you mentioned that it's only 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Hassan, they have to make it happen, and they have to make it happen now. Otherwise, it's going to be the first map going onto the side of Se7en, and that mid has to be efficient. But look at Condog, already 7 HP on top of that crate. The bomb is coming as well. Condog, surely he's going to die. No, once again, he jukes the aggression from Starkey and Captain. How does he do it again? Cadus is there. Cadus claims a frag onto Condog, and now Raymond dead as well. So it's pretty even fight, but everybody's weak onto Se7en. Oh, it's now only Captain against 3 players. There's no way he wins that fight. He's there.
Se7en very consciously made the decision there after the first bombs did not get anything out of the corner about if they want to let both medics live or neither of them, and they chose to have just everybody go for corner, neglect Raymond. Immediately led to Se7en having a free bomb onto the medic here. So they knew what they were doing. The question is if it was the right choice between the two here. We'll see. Only time will tell, as the point is capped by Ascent. They have a player in the backline here. Captain is a bit of a trouble for them. And Se7en really just needs to stall for 2 minutes here right now.
And it's gonna be tough for Ascent. They have to shift their focus now because they know Captain is behind, they know he's lurking around, and at the same time they don't have that much time to wait for him and to get the frag, so they have to make a decision now, and they have to make the good one, otherwise they can't make it back. Captain is there, he's still waiting for the perfect opportunity to bomb. He hasn't been seen, he's going in for Condog now, gets one rocket, almost got the other, got cleaned up as well, but both Se7en and Credu died on the other side of the map, so it's not that good for Ascent now, because yes, they got Captain, but they're still threatened by the sheer numbers of Se7en and Se7en. Do they want to push that in? They tried to sack onto Condog, but Starkey got cleaned up by a sticky trap from Dr. Phil, and now Ascent, they're trying to make their way onto the left hand side. 1 minute and 30 seconds. The clock is ticking for Ascent. They don't have time to waste. Arms is going alone on a solo mission. He's being Ubered by Condog, but now it's going to be a bit tricky and a little lag. Dr. Phil died on the flank. This is terrible now, probably for Ascent. Yeah, Tiger died, but he did what he has to do. Got the frag onto Dr. Phil. There's no demo to push with for Ascent, and now Se7en, they're going to take that fight, and somehow Ascent managed to win. They have more numbers. Collapse from Se7en, get 2 players. Yes, Raymond got a frag, but Amps is there to kill line up onto the medic. It's a 1-on-1. MG, no, it's a 2-on-1, but the damage is done for Ascent. They got Raymond, they got the second point. Now it's 50 seconds for them to make it a dry push, successful dry push.
It's gonna come down to the wire here, and Connor goes Kritzkrieg, which just about will get him there in time, I would imagine. But how much is that worth against Se7en starting to turtle up, having all the space to space around the, I would assume, Kritzkrieg flying their way, and the sentry gun as well being able to just completely negate the impact of the Kritzkrieg on top of that. This needs perfect execution, and they can't even wait for the crits to be ready, they just need to hope it comes up in the middle of this fight.
And they're going in, there's a heavy greeting them on top of the pipe. Captain dies as well, on to the top. Ams is dead, and now Conduct Silences. This is complete crumble here for Ascent. There's no way to win this fight. The bomb is coming. Stocky with a headshot onto Credo. It's now only Drac against 4 players. Yes, he's good, but he's not good enough. And Se7en are gonna take that first map on Granary. It's 2-1, and that was really, really close here. Really nice effort here for Ascent. But in the end, Se7en just proves to be the better team.
In all fairness sake, Ascent looked much improved here from last week, where they were much more chaotic. They played this, for the most part, a lot more reserved, a lot more calm, where it was necessary. Only had these sort of like freak aggressive moments every once in a while, and some of them worked out fairly well, in all fairness sake as well on top of that. So it was a big improvement, but it just was barely not good enough, and the mistakes just paid so dividendly for Se7en whenever they happened, that it made all the difference at the end of this. And for the last few minutes, Se7en only had to stall for time here, and that's never a position you want to be in as the opposing team.
Yeah, correct. At least Ascent improved, but they didn't improve enough at least to take a map for Se7en here. They will have another shot at it on the second map. But yeah, the Granary here, and Se7en proved a bit shaky at times, if I may say so, but they are probably the best teams at analyzing what's going wrong and then making the right decision to fix it right away. And that push where they were on their second and it looked really dire for them, they managed to push all the way back to Ascent's last and to make it around, was just a showing of a testimony of their mental strength, I think. And now we're gonna go on to that second map, but first let's take a look at the logs to see what happened onto that first map. I feel like I haven't seen the logs yet, but I feel like maybe DuMmTm had a bit of a rough game.
6-14 is not looking too pretty in terms of demo man logs. I would imagine for his own standards. I would imagine, yeah, that's certainly not too satisfying for himself, I would say.
Both Captain and Silences proving that yes, this game is a lot about scouts, but it's not only about scouts, with both of them pumping a lot of damage. And it looked like Captain had a really good game. We saw it getting a really nice mid-air onto Conduct at the start of the game, resulting into a drop. So it looked like Captain was feeling it. On the other hand, Track looked like he struggled a bit, but it was really tough for him because he had to take a lot of 2-on-1s when Thagger was there to back Starkey up. So a pretty rough game for the flank of Ascent overall. And yeah, Phil, I think was we mentioned that's the only matchup we mentioned before the game, the Demoman matchup between Cadus and Dr. Phil. And just to highlight that, just looked like Cadus just got the better end of that stick.
Yeah, and it also seems like it's just a different approach for the teams in general. If you look at the heals and damage taken, it looks like Phil just plays like a much more further back role in the combo, still taking most of the heals. He quite a bit less just sitting in the back, I would imagine, much more. Cadus takes a bit more of the lead here when it comes down to it in situations that are more aggressive. And maybe it just isn't quite, despite of having played a full season, not quite to Phil's liking as much as being sort of the like tanked lead demo man of old times, basically, and the role that Se7en is at least comparatively much more employing here, even if not like tremendously so. It still is much more hits on Cadus in comparison, and he's able to take much more damage, where Phil took quite a bit less even and still ended up dying more. So, you know, there's just a different whole strategy here between the teams and the Demoman.
Yeah, we mentioned during the Ascent against Swift how the playstyle for Ascent is a bit different from most of the teams, where Silences is in charge of most of the beam, and they're not a really Demoman centric team, Ascent. But we saw them adapting on their series against Swift. We saw them going with first most hills onto fill, and then switching around and shifting the beam to Silentis, and this is how they won the last 2 maps. So we're not safe from a change around once more from Ascent, where maybe they see that it's not working out for them right now to have a hill heavy pocket, so maybe they're gonna swap around to a more traditional DuMmTm heavy game style. So we'll see how they want to do that. But yeah, second map, this is Snakewater. Kind of a notorious map for Se7en. This is not their best map, let's put it that way. One of the only 2 maps they lost that season was against Feint on the upper bracket round 1, and it was on this very map. So yeah, it was really close, but they still lost that. So maybe this is probably not their most comfortable map, and probably why the reason why Ascent picked that.
Yeah, and it's even more unfortunate because it's such a popular map as well. I think the ETF2L preseason poll about the maps had this on, I think, 3rd place, still all the way high up in like the 80%-ish approval ratings. Like really, really popular map. You see it played all the time, and having problems on one of those 3 maps, Process Snake Gully, is always a bit troublesome, and it's just, you can just avoid it so much. Other maps, you can just hope that the other team also doesn't like them too much, like Granary, like Logjam, and that it just doesn't get picked as much. But with a map like Snakewater, there's just avoiding it so much before you have to play it again. And at this point, Ascent having set the precedent of just product even being their map entirely in this matchup here, it just will have to come down to a map like Snakewater, where Se7en doesn't feel too uncomfortable to be able to, what sounds strangely enough almost like an upset on this map almost here.
An upset, you say? I don't know about that. We'll see what happens. But what is certain is that Ascent, they need to bounce back. They need to take that map if they want to go into the 3rd map and have a shot at going into the grand final straight away. And this is pretty much the exact same scenario that we saw on the game between Ascent and Swift on the previous round. Ascent lost on Granary it was on a close fashion, but it was they lost still. And then was Snake the 2nd map, or was it Gildewash? Yeah,
I don't remember.
I think Snake was the 2nd map, and they managed to take it back and take it to a 3rd map, which they won. So Ascent is surely familiar with that kind of scenario. Not the kind of scenario that you want to be in, but still, when it happens, they know how to react.
And it's not like they are strangers to Process either. It was just in a random cup months ago at this point, where they were able to take Se7en all the way to, I think, 4-5 scoreline and barely lose out. But they made it that close on a map like Process that it still looks entirely possible for Ascent here.
Correct. Well, I mean, when we just look at the lineups, if there's one team who can stand up to Se7en, it's obviously Ascent. So, I mean, we're at the stage where the map shouldn't matter that much. If you intend to win Prem against a team like Se7en, you need to be able to be performing correctly on every map. You can afford to have a map where you basically give up before even playing, and yeah, this is the kind of matchup where you need to go on every map confident enough that you can take it. And yeah, if there's one map where you're a bit more comfortable than usual, more confident than usual when you play Se7en, it's obviously this map. We'll see how it goes. I'm expecting them to pump out maybe a bit more aggression on the side of Ascent. We saw them playing very conservatively on that first map. Sometimes it was a bit detrimental, sometimes it was obviously the correct play. But what's your take here? What do you think Ascent needs to adapt a bit on how they play?
I think some of the things that went more wrong than others were problems that I've noticed were, for one, that they were just having a lot of trouble resetting every time they made a play. Every time they tried to make a play, it went bad from there. They sent them in the sack, and the distraction play just ended up losing players as well, and suddenly there was 1 or 2 more players than they actually wanted to during a sack, and Se7en could just take free space for the most part off the back of those. And it just means so much if you can just keep the stalemate going at the pace you want to, instead of constantly having to live in the constant fear of Se7en just making some sort of play happen when you want to be the one making one in the first place here. When you are, like they were for a lot of Granary, you just run around down and you're forced to make some sort of plays, and when Se7en can just like have much more confidence to return the favor every time you go aggressive, that's just not at all what you want. They need to be able to be having a stable defense whenever these stalemates come up, so they don't have to be afraid of anything in return that Se7en puts in, as well as, and there was at least one good Uber exchange towards the end of that game where it was really messy and they just completely destroyed them. But I think that was about it, and Se7en looked so much more controlled, so much more calm, where they knew exactly what they were doing. They had a plan, they had a goal. If the goal wasn't being accomplished, they always had the opportunity to just fall back safely and not even lose anyone, even if they didn't get anything, where the Uber exchanges Ascent was taking were a lot more messy and just a lot more with the end result being, let's try to create the most messy DM fight of all time, where we just surround them somehow. And the one where Hams forced Raymond to flash a billion people worked out brilliantly, but other than that, there wasn't too many of those that worked too well. So those are, I think, the two main takeaways here, where Ascent needs to step up the game.
And one who surely needs to step up is probably Dr. Phil, because one of the reasons why Snake is a bit of a weak map for Se7en, people would say it's because of Cadus, who's not at his best on that map. So if there's a moment for Phil to step up and show who's the boss, it's probably now. And he had a tough showing. Let's not call it a bad showing, because you mentioned how he doesn't have that many heals compared to Cadus, but it was tough for him to exist on that first map. So if there's one guy I want to shift my focus on and hope for the best, it's probably him.
I'm also curious to see what, especially Flash and Credo, will be up to this map. Much more of the sniper-friendly map over the course of all 3 points, like evenly distributed, whereas Granary is mostly just sniper-focused on last. So we could end up seeing a lot more of them. Classic plays, obviously, as well. When you just lost out on anything on second, you send the sniper into the forward spawn on mid, just waiting them there to push your way. That's a fairly common thing you see as well. So yeah, I expect a lot more sniper on this map.
And here we go, map 2 of that upper bracket, round 2 between Ascent and Se7en. Se7en won the first map on Snake, 2-1, and now Ascent, they have to respond with a strong response if they want to take it to a third map. First mid fight, spam is being exchanged again, the bomb coming from Silente, so to the right side, he gets Falash really early, but Drag had to pay the price, and the price is his life. And now it's quite of a slow fight here, not that much aggression. Dr. Phil slowly making his way here, and somehow Ams gets 2! He gets both Cadus and Starkey with a swift play. He's now behind, he's completely alone. Credo is there. That's a really nice wrap-up play, but Tiger wants that one-on-one against Ams, but he can't do anything because Credo was on the prowl. Credo gets Raymond, and that was a really nice reaction here after the loss of the first map from Ascent.
Really nice chase at the end as well. And Tiger just got completely carried away chasing one Scott. The other one could just go take out his medic. Instead, took a while, and Phil felt committed enough to help out there, even though it ended up not being too necessary. But better safe than sorry. Captain still behind Limes is a bit of a troublesome one, but for the most part they can just ignore that and keep going forward, press the issue as much as they can, and keep this advantage state going for as long as they can, because Captain is not finding any stops here. Ams is not now. Drag is still on the look for him, and that's like the second kill he got behind lines as well. Tiger trying his hardest to make the situation any better, but they spot him out really early in lobby, so there's no stopping Ascent just yet. And with one down right now, they can deal with Captain behind lines if they just want to push this forward right now, but they still have people chasing and eventually get the kill, so that's really good. If they already chased, they at least want it to be a successful one here as the push slowly starts coming into last.
Oh, but Uber is being used on the left side, but Dr. Phil was completely left alone on the left hand side. He's got picked up by a sniper play from Tiger because Conduct just dropped onto the ground with his scouts. So questionable decision making here from either Demoman or the medic or both. What do I know? But now the Uber has been used by Ascent. They wasted their advantage, but they're still trying to go in. And yeah, Silent with a nice air shot, and they somehow win that fight. Raymond has 70% of Uber, and somehow they completely wasted their Uber, but they managed to win this round.
Well, did they really waste it? Because sure, they didn't do much, but 2 kills is more than enough to have a decent re-entry as long as the Uber on the other side is not up yet, and they did it fast enough to the point where the spawns were a non-factor whatsoever. So it might not have been looking the prettiest, but it was effective nonetheless. 2 picks into re-pushes. Maybe just good enough. No space denied by the soldiers whatsoever on the re-push here.
Yeah, it looked bad when Dr. Phil was dropped from that Uber, but again, it looks like Ascent have some unknown properties to win when they drop people or the Uber, for what I know. And on that fight, the Cadus died really early, but Captain just had a free bomb onto Condog and claimed the frag onto the medic. And Raymond died as well to another bomb from an enemy soldier, and that second mid goes for Se7en, and that second mid fight was way more aggressive from both sides.
Yeah, and much better like post-med dev position, if that's a term, for Se7en here. They were just on their half, still mostly heavy, whereas on Ascent everybody was super far committed in, that to the point where they already lost a lot of health, so Se7en with a much easier time actually cleaning up the kills here. Captain currently on heavy. It's not the first time we would have seen them actually use the heavy on Snakewater for some reason or another, but for the moment they decide against it, just opting for the 2 soldiers. I honestly would have liked to see that, because it wouldn't, like I said, be the first time. They've done it in scrims quite a few times, and I want to understand what's the actual plan behind it, because I barely have seen it actually work, but they've done it a few times, so I actually want to see it succeed in some capacity.
Yeah, but it's usually Starkey who plays heavy, so maybe Captain didn't feel comfortable enough going with the minigun. And now Ubers are somewhat even small ad for Raymond, but it's not big enough to push on, and Credo is there on Sniper looking at the right hand side, and I guarantee that whoever's gonna cross that door is just gonna straight die. There's no doubt about this. Captain took his chance and he survived because there was no shot, I believe. And there's a gun, another sentry gun onto the right hand side as well.
Ooh, and Drag behind Lions gets the damage, and immediately nobody was watching the lower area. He just jumps up for free, gun denying the E-board really well as well. This is the same sentry spot I was praising them for last season as well. It just helps Sniper taking the space on the right side so much, and Raymond post Uber just way too far committed in, gets tackled all the way around lobby and just has no escaping here. Drag the only casualty for that one, and he was the one forcing Uber in the first place, so really well done for Ascent so far, but now they actually have to do the hard part of pushing out without losing everything.
Which is not an easy task, but it's made easier now because Amps got the frag onto Tiger, onto the around the cheese, and now it's gonna be a 70% Uber rat for Condog. Starkey is there on Sorum. He's just scouting the enemy position for his teams, but now they have to go back Se7en because their Uber is coming their way, and they can't be there when the storm is hitting them. And it looks like Ascent making their way onto Sorum. They haven't used yet. There's nobody here to force Condog. Mere spam on me, and Condog is safe from harm. But a sticky trap from Katie's gets a frag onto Silentus, and Drag died as well on the flank. So now it's looking really bad. All of a sudden, Ascent has to go back, and Amps knows about this. And it looked really good now, but somehow it was just the calm before the storm for Ascent, because they had a really good position, but two back-to-back frags just completely shift the situation around.
And it would have been good as well if they kept playing aggressive there despite the player behind, but they all were drawn back by, I think, Stark behind lines, to the point where Se7en, without even having a Uber, just walked us in against a team that had 100% on a medigun. So it just all worked out perfectly. Se7en reading the situation perfectly there to just take space that you wouldn't expect them to be able to take, and just being back on mid where they want to be just fine to continue on the stalemate in a much more favorable position now. Question is what now? The situation obviously much changed than from the other side where they didn't have mid. So options are here, Sags are fairly common, Snipers are fairly common. Spies you see actually quite a bit on this point as well, I want to say, compared to some other ones. So lots and lots of options, but none of them easy. Captain trying his hardest to make something happen here, but like I said, it's not easy when there's Scout on the high ground denying you. Tiger actually also getting counter jumped in Kitchen straight away. Not so lucky for Drag though, he was not alone, that takes a bunch of damage, has to escape as well. Sand getting good damage, but not being able to clean up any of these plays right now. Just a bit shy on damage here.
And no off classes, because Captain didn't die, he jumped in, but he got just sent back home by the deny from the scout. I think it was Amps. And yeah, you mentioned it's pretty tricky for a soldier to just jump in, because there are two scouts here ready to greet you with little bullets in your chest. So it's really hard to commit onto that medic, and Condog looks like he's quite aware, quite ready to juke everybody coming his way. He's just standing on that crate to make sure he's probably not getting backstabbed. Starkey tried to go from Sorum with a little pogo, but it didn't quite work out because Crater was there with the help of Silentis. And now Se7en being really cautious, really even like, they don't want to take any risk because it's really early, but they're almost a bit inefficient. I would like to see them a bit more proactive, because they're really only trying one-man sack, and it's really hard to make it work on that kind of situation. But I know why. I now know why, because they just got someone to die to open the store for the spawn door, not the store, for Talash, so he could come back on Sniper. And now it's gonna be more interesting, because Talash is gonna be there ready to hit that shot onto Condog. And looking at the position from Condog, thinking about a hero shot onto Sorum wouldn't be that crazy to think about.
Yeah, and the players, he did actually serve the triple purpose as well. Flash can go back to spawn and switch to sniper. They expected a bit less, because when the scout just walks in, it's fairly obvious, and proud of all, he went back to spawn as well to just make sure that there's no other offlosses on the field, and just went spy and spawn for the meantime, while Flash already left spawn. So it serves three purposes at once, despite him just dying and getting denied immediately. And that's, while not successful immediately, it's at least efficient, to say the least. Stark finding his enter to Amsdorf all the way forward in choke, and that's not quite how you want this to go. Sniper immediately moved back to be more defensive and hope things come his way instead of just peeking aggressively. Sticks all over Kitchen as well, so Ascent doesn't dare make any moves here, and they are comfortable with this so far. They are in the demanding position where Se7en has to make the plays instead, and they can pick and choose much more freely what they actually want to contest with.
Thalash hasn't gone for the risky play yet. He's now peeking from kitchen, trying to see if he can get the scout who's standing onto that ledge, onto that fence, but he can't really get it. And now Captain making his way through Storm. Does he have an opportunity? Maybe he has, because somehow Ascent giving a lot of ground to Se7en. It was all the bait because they get 3 frags. Am's got 2 on his own, and now Se7en, they are the one going back and giving respect to Ascent, because they're only 3 up against 6 players, and Drac is there flying up into the air, giving more room for Ascent that they even need to. And the bomb is coming from Drac, but he got air pipe by Cadis, and there's no way he can do anything now. Nice play here from Cadis, completely protecting his medic from all the harm. And this is gonna be just a mirrored situation now, because it's gonna be Ascent holding that middle point, and with that Uber, and try to go for a sack play.
The question is, how comfortable are they holding this point here right now? Because the Se7en was really comfortable, but looked like Ascent's counter strat of just walking amps at them was much better than anything they had in store. So for the moment, not much counter aggression coming out of Se7en here, just peeking, seeing if there's an opening they can abuse, but Ascent ready for it, not letting anything through for free, and continuing on the stalemate right now. And like you said, it's much better position for Ascent right now, being on the middle point instead of being on second. So much easier to just deny stuff coming your way. And it's all up to Se7en now. They are on the back foot here. Ascent, like I said before, can just pick and choose what they're gonna go with. And when they wanna, I guess, just walk amps at them again and just win that way.
And it looks like Ascent, they wanna make their way onto the choke, pumping the heals. Se7en feeling really weak early on, maybe denying that attempt for Ascent. And I don't really know what they're trying to do. Are they just trying to make space for their flank, or are they actually going to try to commit? They're just going straight in with a bomb from Se7en. Gets 1 rocket onto Raymond, but that's just not enough. And Raymond was healthy enough to survive this. He didn't even have to use, didn't even have to think about using, because he was too healthy for that. And now maybe the reaction coming from Se7en. Starkey playing around the kitchen. Can he do anything here? No. There's just Cat looking at him, ready to deny any kind of jumps that he could have in mind. And it's gonna be a reset, because Se7en is gonna be ready to come back. And he's on spy. Se7en is on spy, and this is gonna be a bit unexpected here for Se7en, because Se7en is playing pocket, and yeah, he is a bit known for playing spy, but I don't think he has done that in quite some time now. And when you kill the pocket, you don't really expect a spy to be the next thing to see.
Yeah, for sure. So it comes a bit out of left field. Se7en might not expect it at all, but the longer nothing happens, the more you have to be ready for it. It's like the common position here. So Ascent can't not do anything. They need to distract, make it seem like everything's normal, and just continue on the stalemate like they did before. Spam, maybe try to peek something, maybe have like intentionally a beef jump or something like that. Drag is make it seem like he wants to go to get Se7en in a better position. Raymond turns around but doesn't see the spy in time. Suddenly it's all looking so bright for Ascent. They immediately want to play off it as well and get Stark straight away. Despite spades people forward for Amps to clean up, he just walks all over them, gets 2 more kills. 7k for him. Make that an 8-1 there with Captain going down as well. Cadis just barely gets to spawn. Flash not so lucky, doesn't hit the shots either. Amps is just carrying the team on his shoulders right now. They just merely need to clean up behind him. Still gets one with the pistol on top of that. Steals him the 10k, I think it would have been. And there we go. Ascent just nice little bit of coordination between Choke and the spy behind into insane cleanup from Amps even. Really nicely done there.
Yes, this was the key to unlock that chest, and as soon as that chest was open, Amps was there ready to pick up whatever was in it, and what was in it was 6 clean frags to add to his numbers. And that's 2-0 now for Ascent. It's looking pretty good, but we're not even at halftime, so there's a lot of room for Se7en to come back into that game. Captain going straight into the face of Condor, gets the frag and gets stuck to field as well. What a play here from Captain, not waiting any minute to go deep into that middle fight. And now Se7en, they have to be careful because they're only 3 up. Nice reaction once again for Ascent. They're so good at this. When it looks like they're losing the fight, they have such a quick reaction time to just go back in. And now it's only Raymond. He has 2 people chasing him, both Credo and Se7en. Can they get the frag? The help is coming. It's Captain, but no, taking Raymond. Captain couldn't do anything. Captain died as well. And what a follow play, what a reaction again from Ascent.
Yet again, it's so consistent on these chases right now. They're not letting Raymond escape, or maybe I should say Raymond is just not early enough out of mid at all to be able to even escape these plays in the first place. He's just getting caught out by them time and time again now. And it's even worse than last time because Connor has such a big advantage off the back of that. If he just died on mid immediately, it almost would have been better at this point. Now Connor has 50% advantage coming to second. All spawners are here this time, which is obviously an improvement from last time, but it's still such a favorable fight for Ascent to take. He's losing Credo early. Shouldn't be too big a deal as long as Captain goes quickly. Cadis wants to still find some damage. Takes it out himself. Stark too on top of that. Peeks in aggressively. The Dragon Cheese deals so much damage. Eventually Flash able to rush him down there. The fight just keeps going. Se7en chases them as well. Gets Cadis for that. Flash still behind lines is annoying, but they just straight play into last. Amps on the beam again. He's feeling himself maybe a bit too much. Misses some shots here. And a lot of valuable time being lost. The gun goes down,
but
but
they
not
don't
much
get Raymond
else.
though. They have just haven't killed Raymond. Raymond has 90%. He escaped. He was there. He was at reach, but it didn't shoot him enough for him to die. And now this is a complete turnover for Se7en. They had this in the bag, but no, the bag was pierced, and now Se7en is just reacting so well. Kind of lucky here that the focus fire from Ascent was a bit poor, but what's done is done, and Se7en managed to react properly. They have now a really big Uber advantage. They have also a little number advantage because Credo is still dead, and Se7en, they have their freeway onto mid. Captain is bombing in, making space for his team so they can follow behind them, and this is going to be a free mid for Se7en, and maybe even more if they're being greedy. They have still 70%. This is not greed here. This is common sense to push onto the second point. They're making their way through the Ascent storeroom. The bomb is coming from Drag, gets the frag onto the lash. No scout to escort Raymond anywhere, and the Se7en, they're going to be happy to just go for that
Cheese
point.
gets all the damage they wanted and more. That's the fourth straight there. Still was really far got to that as well. And I assume that's the main reason why Raymond used, because there was another soldier on the other side as well. They want to get something done with this event. Few frags are being traded, but Tiger might just be getting stuck here and there's not enough damage for him to do much. Actually gets saved by Raymond's heal beam there. They still want to keep going. They still have some players here, but Connor almost kind of forcing him right now is key for Ascent, or for Se7en even. And they want to keep going. Eventually Uber gets used and people get dropped all around Connor. On top of that, nobody in position to chase. Connor on the low ground is not in position to beam people into lobby, and Se7en might have misplayed that a little bit, but they made the best of the situation.
And we were 30 seconds ago, we were on Se7en's last, and now we're on Ascent. So this game goes pretty fast around, and now Amps has a gun. He's getting built on the right hand side. Credo is on sniper. He needs to hit that clutch shot, otherwise it's gonna be really tricky for Ascent to hold their last. And the Uber is getting ready. It's gonna come onto the shutter door probably. I see the Uber's being used onto Captain Cadis and Talash. Cadis jumping in, he's gonna get the gun straight away, getting launched into the air, but you can see everything from that eagle eye. Captain getting another good damage here. It's gonna be really tricky for Ascent, but they actually have the heavy, and that heavy is gonna make the difference. Credo hits everything, the bomb is coming, Stocky is in with the help of Cadis, they get the heavy, and now Condog has 93%, getting at his Uber damage. He goes for the soul, he gets the soul, he saves his team, but it's only Amps against 4 players. Captain kills himself, and can they do it? There's a scout still, and no, Condog completely salvages the situation with that soul onto Raymond.
I admire Raymond's confidence to just stand on shutter and try to arrow Uber people on the point, hoping he times it correctly, but didn't quite happen. Nobody took damage, and like you said, the saw just completely saved him. There's a lot of jokes to be right about Connor every once in a while, but sometimes he just pulls stuff off like that, and it just all pays off in the end again. Se7en, however, with how long this fight took in the end, he still has a bit of an advantage. It's not much, but if they can just catch them by surprise, it might just be working out here, but they need to be careful. There's still a gun, there's still a sniper on the other end.
They're going in again, right hand side. The Uber is being used onto Talash, Captain and Cadis. It's only a level 1 gun, it's getting down by Sticky, no Silentess as well. The point is played by Talash, perfect play here. for Ascent. Ascent who looked like they wanted to bait a bit so they could get the Uber in time, but Talash had the perfect read here and just went straight for the point.
Yeah, just a bit too careful when they just couldn't afford to Se7en immediately on the point here. And making it a lot more close now. We're well past the half-time mark here, 12 minutes left, 2-1. Making a lot more of a close game, but Ascent still having enough of a lead that Se7en needs to be hard-pressed to do more here.
There was also a lot of cap time from the previous push. Talash again with a nice read here. And this is the fourth mid. The bomb is coming from Se7en onto the hand of Cadus. He gets the frag with the help of Drac. And now he's going straight for Raymond. He can't get a rocket though. Raymond shoots perfectly. And Conduct died as well on his own. Too stocky. So now it's going to be probably onto the hands of Ascent. But we saw them winning fights. They shouldn't have won. And look at Se7en, how cautious they are. They don't want to lose another unlosable fight. They're straight back onto their second point, even though they have all the heals in the world and Dr. Phil is weak. But Se7en, they just want to be cautious now. They have 11 minutes, they want to make it count and they want to go into that middle point slowly but surely and steadily with that Uber ad, making sure the medic is not going to get forced. There's a sticky trap from Phil onto the house. He hasn't been spotted yet. Raymond is getting bombed by Se7en, gets no rocket again. Raymond with the on-click jukes here, and this is going to be a free mid for Se7en.
Yeah, unfortunately not too much success out of the psych attempt here, and they still have advantage off of this, so they can continue putting on the pressure, are cautious about the forward spawn. Am somehow accidentally landed on Engineer. Not quite this class, he was looking for Sniper, but is still with him in there as well. Se7en cautious about it, have some sticks, have some players watching it as well. Ascent just opts to go to last, play it safe instead, which is fair enough given the scoreline right now. They don't need to make miracle plays as long as they can play safe and sound on their last point, and there we go. They managed to put up a decent defense here. Angie's up, Uber is fully there due to not losing anyone on second, and now it's just a matter of how Se7en approaches this one.
And it's gonna be a tough hole to crack here for sure. There's a gun again from Ams on the right side. Credu, I'm surprised to see him on scout and not on sniper, but I guess he saw that he wasn't really lucky. He didn't find fortune in his shots, so he's back on scout this time. And Connor holding behind the truck. It's gonna be hard to get him. There's a gun close, and now Credu is back on sniper. He's feeling it. He hasn't shot as good as I could have. Yeah, but he gets Cadus as soon as I said that, just to prove me wrong. The little trickster and now Se7en, they have no choice but to fall all the way back onto their second. And without a demo, it's gonna be tricky for him to survive because they will have to keep Credu on guard. And it looks like the soldiers are there on guard duty to get Credu. And yes, Captain cleans up the sniper with a nice rocket.
Yeah, Se7en really needs to be careful about that. We've seen what he can hit when it comes down to it, and just single-handedly saving the round, so they don't want to let him start feeding himself, and they are cautious about it so far. Kate is obviously overextending once here, but not twice, as the Eber comes in straight into the gun. Se7en trying to adapt against this forward whole sentry gun shenanigans Ascent has started to employ here. For the moment, it's not working too well though. The gun wastes enough time that no danger whatsoever is on the combo, and Flash's playing the point was mistimed enough that he just dies on his own. Am's dying unfortunately on top of that, but in the end it's still a really good position for Ascent, just denying any and all of that Uber. And sure, they need to wait here to have 6 players, but they desperately, or they aren't as desperate as Se7en to make a push here, so if they decide to do it, they can just sit here for the rest of the timer.
And somehow with that Uber, Se7en didn't kill anyone from Ascent. They only got a gun, and Dr. Phil was on the verge of dying, but his jokes were good enough, or the scout beefed enough, however you want to see that. Glass half empty or half full, but in the end it's gonna be another reset. Both team have Ubers. Technically, even if there's a reset, there won't be enough time for Se7en to come back, so they need to somehow either win this or lose it really bad, but they have to make something, tag or die. So right now we're going to the side of losing, and the bomb is coming maybe from Se7en, try to see if he can find Raymond, but Raymond is there, safe and sound in the stairs. There's no way they can find him now. He's avoiding all the cyclones from Credu. Credu is just peeking into lobby, see if he can get a sneaky headshot maybe, but there's no way he can find the medic. The spam coming though from under, almost.
Yep. Drag had like a good few seconds where nobody was truly watching that. There was a scout next to him, but at that point he already was in like range to deal 100 damage onto Raymond, so the timing could have been decent, but they decide not to go for it. Ascent just really not willing to let anything go right now. Kate is, however, much more willing. to just commit to silly things, and it's silly enough to get him killed really, really quickly all the way into last. So that's a DuMmTm down. That's a lot of denial lacking here. No sticks anywhere makes life easier for somebody to try to commit in, but maybe there's just some higher thought here that they now want to make something happen, and it's all an elaborate bait that we don't quite see yet, but it still looks like Ascent is not willing to take any of it, which, given the situation, is probably for the best here as well.
Yeah, from the looks of it, again, if there's a reset, there's not enough time for Se7en to make it around, so I guess unless there's a really big opportunity for Ascent to push out, they're not gonna take that risk, and I mean, I can't blame them. I can see why they would do that, and it's pretty much only up to Se7en now to make something happen. And as I said earlier, either they make it around or they fail terribly and they allow Ascent to push out. And maybe failing isn't that bad if you allow Ascent to loosen their hold a bit more, a bit much. But now, again, Se7en not being really creative, if I can say so. Tiger's on sniper though, so maybe it's gonna be the difference. And I know Tiger is eager to prove that he's a better player than Credu. He's picking now onto his own left side. He sees Credu, he doesn't get the shot, it doesn't connect, and now Credu knows there's a sniper. It's a really valuable piece of information here for the Finnish sniper, and Tiger is rotating around onto drop down. He hasn't been seen, hasn't been spotted. Starkey is there to deny potential spammer, and the Se7en is taking that role at heart, but Tiger is not going to make his way. No, he's actually not daring picking here, even though nobody was looking. And again, the less time there will be, the more riskier Tiger will have to be.
Yeah, I think what the Se7en needs here desperately is just to take advantage of Se7en being fairly alone on the left side so much, or maybe even drag it lower. They start finally putting up some 2v1 pressure onto the soldiers here, which I think is much more the way to go, to at least get some sort of pick going and have something to play off potentially. But so far they're not really daring to actually try to go for a kill. They're just like passively trying to spam them and get a lot of damage this way. But they're all bunching up towards the shutter side. Tiger is peeking there as well, hoping that somebody jumps into his side lane, but nobody really wants to commit on Se7en right now, ever since Cadis died a few minutes ago.
And honestly, if you Tiger here, like, Ascent is not going to push if you die, so might as well just go for the hero shot over and over again. But as I said that, you just get one clean shot onto Se7en. This is no time for him to go for the hero shot, because if he dies, nobody happens to Se7en. He's not going to get pushed out, so I'm a bit disappointed to see him not taking the risk, because this is probably what he has to do. And now he's gonna wait for a buff, probably he's gonna try to see if he can pick here. But he's being once again really cautious, and as soon as he's gonna pick that door, he went for it! But the gun was there to deny him, and Credu with another shot onto Starkey, probably opening things up a bit for Ascent. And this is now the big question. Is Ascent gonna take that risk? Is Ascent gonna take that gamble to push out of their last, to loosen their hold, and taking the risk of maybe losing him? But it looks like they don't want to. Only Credu taking his shot. He's on cheese. There's no way he escapes here. And somehow we leave the Uber up in forth onto Raymond from a bump from Drac. And now this is looking a bit sad. But at the same time, this is not too bad for Se7en, because there's no way Ascent push out from it. So even if they get forced, they're only getting a bit delayed by 40 seconds. So yeah, 40 seconds can matter a lot when there's only 4 minutes left to play, of course. But I don't see Ascent pushing out other last ever in the remainder of that game.
Yeah, but finally, at least somebody took the opportunity of just a bit of unawareness in the lower area, getting all the damage they needed for the force here. And like you said, it's probably only merely time wasted on Se7en's end here, which it could be a lot worse, but they don't have much of that, so they are hard for us to get another opportunity going here, and time is ticking against them. And Ascent is just happy to return the favor of the past, of the slow playstyle here. This is a game state that heavily encourages them to do just this, just to find the best way to deny anything Se7en has in store for them, and just be ready for any other possibilities that they did not quite account for, which so far is at best just Tiger sniping a bit more aggressively, and even that covered on, at least on the right side, with the sentry gun really nicely. So it all comes down if Se7en can really find a new solution here. The Uber didn't do much last time they tried it, the sniper didn't do much yet, and they abandoned that strategy so far, trying to just play a bit more aggressive towards drop down Stark, trying to peek and spam in aggressively, but none of that really working just yet.
Yeah, and I thought Se7en was exploring a new answer, but no, they're going left side, they use their Uber, they get the dispenser, they get the gun. Kondok eventually uses his own Uber, but there's no push-up possible here for Ascent, there's no frag that had been found for Se7en, and this is just a rotate play here. They're not going to right side onto the point. There's a point play from Talash, there's no way he gets it, they actually gets it! Somehow, nobody was dead onto the side of Ascent. Talash just went for the point, and it worked!
This is exactly how they lost Snakewater last season as well. I want to just go on and point that out here because it's exactly what happened. Se7en just got the gun down, got an at least good enough exchange that they didn't lose anyone, and then just immediately rotated. And Ascent was just super content with continuing the same hold, but you can't immediately start that one because you don't have anything left side, and Se7en just quickly took the space they needed.
There was no gun as well, so this was the exact opportunity that Se7en was looking for. And now it's the 5th minute to tie. The bomb is coming from Silentes. Oh my god, Kondog! Kondog got completely demolished here. Starkey launched him into the end, and Cadis greeted him with a nice air pipe. And now it's only Silentes, and he gets the frag onto Raymond somehow. He equalizes the situation. What a mid here, and somehow Se7en wins it. 1 minute 40 seconds. There's enough time for Se7en. They're almost there.
April Fools, he thought Ascent wins this, but it was a golden cap potentially all along, unless Se7en has some newfound energy to actually make a play into last year. Stark is looking for a backup, and Ascent is ready to just try to fight second. For the moment, there's not anything besides Tiger though, so Stark just has to go for the hero play from the backlines.
Starkey's behind, he's gonna get
denied so hard.
He wasn't seen, but Dr. Phil with a nice reflex, nice flick, just shot Starkey, and now it's 2 players down onto the side of Se7en. Ascent making their way through choke. They're gonna go for that win. They get Talash. This is really good for them now. They need to keep going. It's 1 minute. If they are so position on mid, if they go quick enough, there's no way they can win. They can lose. They can only win this map or tie now if they keep on the aggression. Starkey is snapping in the force one. He actually gets some. This is huge. He gets his cap. No capping power now for Scent. But Kridu, there's no way now this is gonna be around. I see both teams. They just Se7en gonna hold their last. Tiger is on NG. Talash is on heavy. Can they do it? They have to try this 30 seconds. They have to be quick about it. But they're wasting so much time just because of Starkey. Why are they doing this? It's a snapper in forward spawn. It's useless. You should go. You have to go now. But no, they don't want to. Are they waiting? Are they happy with the tie? They can't be get skaters though, so that's pretty good from Silentes, but they lost 2 in that process. They lost another one. It's now 5 on 3. There's no way Ascent wins this, and I don't really know what they were doing though. Maybe they didn't know there was so little time left.
Maybe they just overestimated or underestimated the time, I should say, a bit like you said, and just thought they have the time to try to bait out the sniper, but it just clearly didn't work out in the end. Worst case, it's another mid-fight, so, you know, they're not losing off the back of that, but obviously, at least having a little bit better of an opportunity to last than whatever this just was, would have been much, much more valuable. In the end, though, if they can just pull out a better mid-fight here, it's all up for grabs still for them. Just the fact that Se7en's mid-fights were pretty good towards the end, I think, so they need to step up their game there. They're just getting lucky that they keep catching out Raymond in weird situations fairly late on top of that.
Well, yeah, I can't believe that Ascent played for the tie and the golden cap, so I'm assuming this is something happened and they didn't really know how little time it was. But in the end, this is what happened, and so we're gonna see golden cap, hopefully another 39 minutes long like we've seen recently. But yeah, this is gonna all start with that mid fight, and Ascent looked. Se7en won the last mid, but probably on the back of that crazy air pipe from Cadis, and Ascent looked pretty dominant on the mid fight. So maybe there's room for them to actually get a wipe on mid and make it a roll through last. But this is Se7en. Can you really roll Se7en on mid on golden cap? I don't know if that's possible. So there's going to be a lot going through the minds of these players.
I mean, they tried once, and AMS hit absolutely nothing on that push. And it wasn't even necessarily that AMS missed shots. I mean, that doesn't help, obviously, but it was also much more an issue of just entirely being all onto him. Phil was kind of with him, but he didn't get the flash at all, so he just took a bunch of damage immediately and just had to stay back and spam damage from all across the last point, and nobody else was really with that, still busy capping or coming back from mid. And it really was just those 3 people, Connor, AMS, and Dr. Phil in last, in that one, that it just entirely seemed way too rushed.
So before we go into the gold gap, let's take a quick look at the logs. And so yeah, it was a really cellmatey map, but again, Phil with a rough game on his hands. I don't know how much is because it's the map was really cellmatey, because Cadis doesn't have a really good sightline either, but I can't help 3 frags. It's pretty poor when you try to win a map.
Alright, also, this is now the live feign coaching session, because I did mention that to you before, but apparently you should have mentioned it to Ascent instead. When they take the exchange like this, you can't continue staying forward. You don't have the gun anymore, like after or like into the 2-2 round, that 7-1. The forward hold was broken or at least like negated, and it was a neutral situation for both teams. And Ascent just wanted to continue on the forward hold, but they just had nothing to deny anyone with empty shutter side of last, and there was just nothing they could do about any of that, and just you can't continue on the aggressive forward hold like this if you don't have a gun, if you don't have an Uber, nothing to actually deny anything with, and they just completely were taken by surprise by that rotation and didn't even manage to get any kills on 7, but it doesn't matter. 7 just played the point and denied them from actually blocking it at whatsoever, and it was just over before that one even started.
Yeah, that gun was again. We mentioned that because the gun wasn't there anymore. It was really nice read here from Talaf, just going for the pump play and making the lack of gun, actually the lack of 7th player onto the side of Ascent make it worth. Wait, did we change server? Look like
I think they just reloaded the map instead of actually just changing the win
I was
limit
afraid
to
that
1.
we got memed upon, but no, we have not. Se7en again having a really strong map. He was the damage leader for Ascent on Granary. He still is, and he's the damage leader overall on this map. And yeah, it looked like both soldiers actually from Ascent really having a good game. We saw good aggression from them, so probably something to look out for here when you're 7. And yeah, again that mid fight, that first mid fight is going to be so intense, because if you get rolled in a mid fight on the golden cap, it's basically it unless you kill the medic. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, you lose 1 player, you stay in, you lose 2 players, you think about backing out, you lose 3 players, you're already back on your last. This is probably what we see from one of the 2 teams being really cautious here, and a golden cap being what it is, being so decisive. I'm expecting both teams to play really cautiously as well. Long gone are the days of crits being run in the golden cap. I haven't seen that in forever, so this is another era of the game.
I mean, you can always count on Connor to bring a surprise play out of nowhere. You never know. Maybe this is the one time they do it. I wouldn't honestly be that surprised by it, but yeah, it's definitely less common these days. People prefer to play it somewhat safe, even with some strange aggressive plays we see every once in a while between these 2 teams. There's always this level of safetyness behind most of what they do, especially with 7. Every time you see them go for an exchange, they make sure that they don't lose more than they can afford to, basically. And that's really, really important skill to have, and especially close games like this and stalemate games like this where you go for exchanges a lot. So that means a lot. But for now, like you said before as well, it all comes down to these mid fights, and it will be a close one. I think the mid statistic on the log says it's like slightly in favor of Ascent, some of which comes just purely down to 7 just not getting Raymond out in time, where otherwise they would have had the ability to just immediately walk back into mid with advantage of some sorts, where they killed Connor just straight away on the mids, and they made a good job to do that. But beyond that, I think not many deaths on Connor occurred whatsoever.
Yeah, correct. And he had a better game that he had on Granary, I believe, and he had less drops, of course, but even that, I think he had good jukes on Granary. Let's give it that. But it was also a way slower map as well, so it makes sense that both medics actually played a bit safer and had better numbers. One of the teams readied up. I think it was Ascent. No, it was actually 7. I'm being fooled by the colors and the. Wait, didn't they swap colors? Or am I?
No, 7. As long as you don't make them switch off blue, they always play blue.
I'm making things up.
Which is fine by me, because it makes sense that blue color logo of team plays blue. Which is why I'm glad that Feint is purple, because it doesn't matter, it makes sense either way.
I see. I haven't thought about that. But here it is, the golden cap onto that second map. 2-2 after regular time. If 7 takes it, they're going straight to grand finals. If Ascent wins it, we have a third map. So pick whoever, cheer for your favorite. This is happening right now. This is the first mid and the maybe only mid, hopefully, of that golden cap. And both teams playing a bit cautious. The bomb is coming now from Se7en with a nice air jump pull, and he can't find anything. And now the answer coming, oh my god, the bomb was so devastating onto Kondok and the rest of his combo. And now Raymond lives, and this is a mid for Se7en, and looks like Se7en was just waiting for Ascent to come in, and now they're waiting for Credu and Abs, the Finnish duo. Can they win this fight? There's no way they can win this. They have the heals for Se7en. Credu dies as well. Abs probably has to fall back. He needs to be alive, so Ascent can set up a hold on last.
Yeah, and Credu and Ams just desperately tried to get something started here on Raymond's little scout chariot, but there was just no way to approach this in any good way. They tried to approach it from both kitchen and choke at the same time, and it just didn't work whatsoever. They both just checked both of those entrances together on Se7en. Did not make any sort of entrance for either of them. Worked really well here. Cadis ignores the fact that Flash is still cleaning stickies, but it doesn't get him killed, so it's fine. And it's not much of an Uber, probably nothing to play off here, but it's definitely the leading position going into this Uber
And
exchange.
they're playing off that Uber, they're using onto the shuttle dot, they get the guns ready where they get a lot of cap time as well. And now Ascent, they have to use their own Uber, they have to get the frags as well. But no, they're getting cleaned up. Arms get killed by Toki on the right hand side. In Se7en, they have no more numbers. They have a lot of cap time indicators isolated on the ground, has to escape. So does Raymond. Raymond escapes with only 60 HP, and Ascent, they hold tight, but it was tricky for them. And now they're in a really tough situation because either they push out and they risk losing the map and the series, or they just stay on last, and it didn't really work out well for them the last time they did that.
Yeah, they can't afford to just be as confident as they were this time to stay on last E7. Give them more opportunities bad right now, so they want to push forward as much as they can, and they get Duke fairly quick kills here. Stark is however straight on the corner. Tiger can't play off this damage if he's just quickly enough and times it well. No, Drag spots him in time. Nothing to play off for the scout anymore here, and Ascent will take this opportunity as much as they can. They want to take space while players are down, but they need to be worried about the backup here.
What a bold push out from Ascent here. I don't think many teams would have taken that risk, pushing out of their last straight into second, but it worked out, and Kados maybe a bit surprised, got caught out of position. And it looked really bad for Ascent, but they salvaged the situation, and now they're looking to be in the driver's seat. Starkey is on sniper. It's even Uber situation for both teams, and it's gonna be a bit tricky now. Starkey back on soldier, and Tiger got cleaned up behind, so maybe this is the window that Ascent needs to push. There's one down, there's no sniper. If they want to go choke, they probably have a freeway onto second point and to a trade. It looks like what they're gonna do. They're taking the heals onto Sorum. They're being extremely cautious now. No, they just buffed Phil onto Sorum. It looks like they want to take it maybe into choke. I see a pocket scout, a pocket soldier. Do they want to go in? It's a bit late now because Starsky is gonna be back, and he is now. There's no time anymore, there's no room anymore for Ascent to push in, and they probably have to settle back onto mid.
Yeah, Slantis played Ignite early, met his fate in the hands of some stickies by Cadis, so that won't happen too quickly again. I'd be surprised if you're spy yet again. It feels like it would not be the play to make here for them right now, but I could always be wrong. And it's always Stark taking position all the way in Saw right now, just getting met with some rockets fairly quickly. Trades 1-for-1, but much like Slantis, he also has the talent to off-class here in any sort of capabilities he wants to, but Ascent doesn't want to let them have the time to fall back and have somebody switch classes with him in spawn, so they just put on the pressure straight away, try to walk Drag in all the way deep. Doesn't really find a good opening though, and everybody's there to deny him. Doesn't actually find the damage to kill him, which is fairly lucky for Ascent here. Drag getting all the way back into mid for free is fairly fortunate, and no off-classes here either on any of those two teams that we see so far, which I'm a little bit surprised by at this point.
Well, for Se7en, it's a bit tricky to take the risk of losing a guy, going all the way back to spawn just to get an off-class. As for Ascent, they need probably someone to sag and die. And the Silente Spy is probably not going to work twice in a row, does it? So they have to figure out something different. Cadis is there looking at them. He's sitting on his shed, putting stickies on the window and in the wall. There's no way Ascent can push here. And
but Drag gets the force all alone. Didn't even need any backup. Just jumps in there straight away, gets onto Raymond. This time, no way for him to dodge that one. And it seems so simple whenever that happens, but it just really isn't. He just weasels past all the danger. That's a really, really important force to get here. They just need to play really safe from here on out. They don't want to use without getting anything at this point.
Just a little
BM. Tiger already is on engineer, ready on last.
Yeah. A little BM from Amps in chat, maybe trying to see if he can tilt a couple players from Se7en. But yeah, Se7en looks like they kind of giving up the whole. But as I say that, they get selected. This is pretty good frag for them. But having Tiger getting a gun is a bit detrimental here. Kondok serves away the bomb from Starkey. He's alive. He hasn't used his Uber, so this is probably enough for Ascent to take the second point. No, they won't have time to make that Uber advantage count to push last, but at least they can get a point. Point by Cadus dies. This is huge from Drag, getting the frag onto his countryman DuMmTm, and now without a demo, this is probably an opportunity for Se7en and Drag to go in. They try to go for that first. They actually go for a trade from under. They got Talash. Maybe they can get another one. Stark is gonna die. Yes, Stark is dead. It's a 5-6 on 3 now for Ascent. They have to make it count. They don't have a lot of health, but they had a lot of numbers. They're pushing into last, trying to see if they can get a frag. They get Cadus. Huge frag again from Drag. He's relentless. Now they're playing the point, and they make it. Ascent takes that golden cap from the back with a very nice Uber trade, and then a really good positioning.
After seeing them fail in regular time against an Uber exchange into repush kind of play by Se7en, it's really nice to see that they understand them enough to be able to pull them off just fine themselves and clean up the pieces from there, get the soldiers during the Uber, and just repush really efficiently from there. Nice rocket at the end obviously makes life a lot better, but at that point Cadus was so weak and in the corner he couldn't have done much anyway, and just really nice cleanup all around here by Ascent, and not like committing anything like needlessly into the gun when they were busy doing anything else is really good as well by them.
And Ascent were sitting on their last on the back of a bad mid, and somehow they make it from last to the other last, and they won that run. So nice showing, nice effort here for Ascent, nice mental strength as well. And yeah, I think Drake was the MVP of that golden cap. He got the force onto Raymond on his own. You mentioned that on second point, and then they got 2 crucial frags onto Cadus that allowed his team to won that second map and to take us to a third map. It's getting a bit late, but the hype is as real as ever. And now we're gonna walk across process for that third map. The winner of that map is going to the grand finals. There's no other way around this. The loser is gonna face Swift in the loser bracket round 2. And you don't want to go there after all that time, all these efforts. You just want to go straight into the grand finals. There's no doubt about that. And after a golden cap, momentum now is in the side of Ascent.
Yeah, it would probably feel nice for them to know that the same way they lost the last time, or last season, I guess, on Snakewater against Se7en, this time was barely just enough to give Se7en like 5 more minutes in the game before they eventually win on Ascent. So it's an improvement, all right, and now they need to carry this into process as much as they can. Different map, some similar things still apply here. The sniper's obviously not as shut down as on Granary. So this could be, although we didn't see much in the stalemates of the 2, either Flash, I guess Tiger and Stark both could snipe as well, but the 2 Deal Flash, they played fairly conservative there, and Kredu for the most part, although Amps did snipe a bit on Granary, so those are still enabled. You have a little bit more freedom to bomb, but you also obviously are much more spottable mid-air flying through a choke point like that, so as much as you can carry more speed into a bomb, you can be spotted much earlier, which, funnily enough, is exactly how Drag got success out of his bomb in the first place. He wasn't necessarily fast as much as he just jumped over the fence and nobody saw him in time, so who knows how that will play out for them.
And some of the players went for a little break because it's been a bit nerve-wracking so far, especially that golden cap, and both maps were down to the wire, so it's understandable that some of the players just taking a little break, taking a little breather, and going back strong into that last map.
Yeah,
I don't really know what to expect here.
Hopefully they also talk about what was good, what was needs some working on each team here. They all have some loud voices on the team to say, the least, in terms of like who makes like calls and stuff like that. So there's probably a lot of talking about what they need to work on right now to be able to take this third map.
And I wonder, I don't think Se7en has been in that situation often enough, being on that winner bracket finals and haven't made it through after 2 maps. I think that's a bit, I'm not gonna say it's unique and never happened because I don't know for sure, but it's sure gotta be a bit out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it's a different position they're usually used to. Let me actually check the history, how how they managed in the last few seasons. I mean, the team in some form or another has been together for ages now, so I'm seeing a lot of upper bracket finals with green numbers next to their name. Some were close a few seasons ago. I don't know how that exactly went down, but yeah, some were close. but it always went down with a win for them in upper bracket finals for as long as I have a record here for this team existing.
So you're basically telling us that if we had any money to put somewhere, we should put it on Se7en right now.
I mean, if history is anything to go by, but any history so far also told us that they still want Snakewater as much as it's a trouble map for them. So, that's the first time for everything.
It's fair, but so Se7en has history backing them up. I think inside maybe that chat shows a bit for Ascent, otherwise they're gonna feel pretty lonely facing against all the weight of history against them, and the weight of Se7en, because process is another story, and some would say that Snake is a tough map for Se7en, and the same people would say that this is completely opposite for process, and that process is one of the maps that Se7en knows as well as you can know a map.
My prediction going into process was that this was going to be the closest map out of the three, but given how the matches went so far, I think this at best can be only as close as the others. At worst, I can be completely wrong at this point. So, hey, either way, we got some close maps already. So no matter which way this goes, it's going to be interesting for sure.
So basically, what can we expect from here? Basically the same thing that we could have expected from Snake. Fast mids, fast aggressions, fast soldier bombs, a little drop of sniper here and there from Credo and Talash, a lot of engineer and heavy on last. This is pretty much Snake Water reskinned.
In some ways, but there's obviously still enough differences overall. People hold much more further back for the most part, and even the forward holds on process are a lot harder to just exchange into than the one that at least Ascent employs on Snakewater. Maybe S7 can surprise me if Ascent has similar ideas in terms of forward holding on this map that are a little bit more unique compared to what usually is to be seen on last points here. I'd be curious to see if Ascent has anything unique for the last sorts here. Otherwise, like I said before, maps a lot more open, a lot more like just free space to fly around with as a soldier, which is both good and bad, because as much as you can like abuse it in your favor, you can also be similarly abused by the scouts and just shut down early. And it all comes down to who can find the most success with those traits of the map.
Yeah, I obviously over exaggerated a bit when I said just a reskin. Just a Spire make it a really different map on his own, and it can make a very stalemate map. Actually probably one of the most stalemate map of the map pool.
I think it's necessarily it is. I think, in my opinion, it's not necessarily the most stalemate map. It's just the most like dictated by how the teams want to play it, which makes it able to be really fast, but similarly as able to be played slowly and just stalematey. Where a map like Granary sure can be fast as long as you just keep winning mids, obviously, but you can say that about every map. But overall, Granary, for example, is just inherently a lot slower just because of the way the second point and yard is set up, allowing for just at least one more stalemate overall. Where you have a much more straightforward setup here that just can be like flowcharted a lot more. And similarly, you still have holdable points overall and long sniper sightlines in those points on top of that, where you can just do whatever you want. And it also similarly allows for like less common strategies like sniper full time, which Ascent is known to do every once in a while. Maybe not the most perma sniper team in the history of Premiership, but in recent history at least, they are definitely on top of those things in terms of statistic of having like sniper a lot of the times when they just can, basically, compared to a lot of other teams.
Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna run a sniper to mid at least once, even probably a couple more times. Especially if there are quick rounds. I wouldn't be surprised to sometimes throw in the sniper in the mix to surprise Se7en. But can a team like Se7en be surprised? Talash is always in spawn checking for of classes, so it's gonna be funny to see how long, if Credo plays sniper, how long is he gonna wait in spawn and delay his rollout as a scout before going sniper, so he's not being seen. Because now you can see people waiting more and more, even more and more longer into spawn, so they don't get spotted. So we'll see how that goes.
I guess at the end of the day, it also comes down, sure, you can spot it early and know it's there, but at the end of the day, you need to know how to actually play around that. And if I remember correctly, I watched some Div 2 games where people sure were aware that the sniper was coming, but they just, in the 5 rounds coming, they just couldn't find the answer to it. And Se7en can't fall in the trap of just getting stuck against Credu sniping without finding a solution. Obviously, they have capable snipers, so it's not like they have absolutely no solution here, but if Credu just winning the upper hand in those fights, they need a plan B.
Plan B did, and might need a plan B quicker than expected because apparently Dr. Phil Net died, and it's the kind of thing that you can't really magically fix, can you? So we'll see if the Danish DuMmTm can fix that. Otherwise, maybe Ascent will need to get a Merc. We'll see how that unravels, but if they have to, that would be a tough blow to their evening.
Well, worst case, this is gonna be played some other day, which would be fairly unfortunate, but it's better than, in my opinion at least, than getting a Merc just now for an important game like this. I don't think either of these two teams want to win this the honorable way. After all, it's not like there's huge amounts of money in TF2, so why take easy wins if you can actually take the ones you can get without needing anything handed to you?
And I just recalled Phil performances so far, and if you're a bit on the mean side, you could say that any demo would do better than him, but that's a bit that's more for the meme than anything else. You don't really want to swap around your players.
Yeah, on Grant, you really didn't have the greatest of times, and you would have to look much deeper into the game than I have time to right now watching it live to see what actually went wrong. On Snakewater, he did a lot more manageable and a lot more, at least in line with how Cadis performed as well. It was a fairly slow game, so obviously just looking at the damage, it doesn't tell you a whole lot because there was just not much to do besides setting up traps for large portions of that game. So at the end of the day, it looked a lot more respectable on Snakewater, so it was a huge step up for sure. It was also a big step up in terms of in individual performance, especially by AMS. You had your criticism with him going into Granary. He did good enough, if not to say just good, period, on the first map, and really good on the second one for sure, even with a bit too cocky at times. But apart from that, it was at least mostly justified to play so for him. And
well, he's been settled anyway. They're getting a Disky as a Merc.
That is about as logical of a second player to get in here, or at least a 7th player, I should say, to get in here as it can be, because he will be playing with them at LAN anyway. They probably played with him already quite a bit, so it's not a huge... Well, I mean, it is obviously a difference, but it's not a huge deal breaker or anything. Since they will play with him, they probably have played with him, and yeah.
Okay, so they've been scrimming together. We've got some insider information from Beater. So apparently they're playing with Adiski once a week, so they kind of know how to play with them. So that's not a downgrade in any shape or form. This is gonna be another player. It's actually gonna be a fresh player coming into what's been a really long game. So it actually could make a difference because long games, golden caps can be straining, and having someone who hasn't... So yes, they're not going to be as warmed up as Phil, of course, but he has actually going to come with a clear mind, and that could, that's
you say
another
that
way.
like he wasn't probably just playing Paksham the entire time right now.
Was he?
It's very likely, yeah.
Maybe then. I don't know. I don't store people. Maybe I should do that more.
I mean, I can do it right now if you want to. It's not that hard.
He hasn't played... last time he played was March 25th.
Well, that's not quite playing a Park Jump game right now, so never mind.
It's not really. So
I
yeah,
mean,
it's gonna be...
if anything, he played with Se7en quite a bit in the past, so maybe he knows some stuff. I mean, AMS as well, I guess, so never mind that point too much. I guess he played with them fairly recently.
There's experience, there's like cohesion, but there's also like something really obvious, but it's like, are you ready to play a high stakes game right now at the moment? Are your mechanics ready? And this is why people play warm-up games, so they can be ready as soon as they jump into that game. And Adiski is not in that situation right now, so maybe he's played a bit of DM or MGE while we weren't looking, of course, but still, it's something. You have to go into a game you haven't played where everyone else is ready. So it's a double-edged sword, I think. So yeah, you have a fresh mind, you're not tired of anything, but at the same time, you're not... Can you really be ready? I don't think so. So maybe Se7en will try to capitalize on that. Maybe it would be a good idea to try to test the water, you know, to try to go deep on him on a Disky to see how he's feeling and maybe get a little early advantage because he's not ready to face the bombs.
Either way, no matter how this goes right now as well, it's still interesting from like a spectator's perspective at least to see how a Disky Demoman is doing in this current day and age. It's been a while since he played Demoman on the top team. Obviously had a short break in between his time playing Soldier on Se7en at LAN. So, you know, it's been a while since we've seen him in period, but it's also been a lot longer than that, even that we've seen him on Demoman. And it will just be interesting in general to see how he performs on this class after a decently long break. Granted, he did play, obviously, but obviously most people have not seen much of that.
Yeah, but I think he's. You mentioned how he hasn't played in the top team for a while, but I think I'm assuming he's good. Like, it was one of the early ideas as a pick for the when the teams were making new rosters at the start of the season. He couldn't commit because of work, but he still was. He still has been around the scene in the top level. So we'll see how that goes. He has joined the server now. He should be ready anytime soon, and we should see what happens soon enough. And the early stages of that map, that third map, that decisive map, will actually be important to see how Ascent is feeling with a new player, and maybe there are things they do specifically with Phil that they won't do with the Disky because it's a different player, or maybe I don't know. It could go really well, but at the same time it could go really wrong as well. So it's obviously not something they had a choice there. Like, they had to Phil for Phil. Oh, that's actually funny, but it's not in their hands anymore. They have to wait and see what happens.
Disky says he hasn't played TF2 in 3 weeks. LogsTF says differently. Who says the truth here? We'll never know. Se7en says that Sunny Black Night him as a mark. It's April 1st. We'll never know what's actually true here or not. All we know is that there's people on the server. People are readying up. Or actually not. They're doing the opposite right now.
And they're doing the opposite of the opposite. So hopefully we start soon. For what's going to be the third map. Again, let's remind everyone of what's at stake. A place in the grand finals. And the loser is not out yet. The loser will have another shot against Swift in the loser bracket, round 2 as well. So even if you lose, nothing is completely lost. But if you win, you're kind of putting yourself in the driver's seat. And I think it's been a while that the team that went straight into the finals hasn't won. I think last time was Se7en actually against Arctic Foxes, but apart from that, it doesn't happen quite often. So going into the finals after winning the upper bracket grand finals actually a big deal. So both of these teams, they will want to take that map, and this is the first mid. We'll see how Disky fares against Skaters. Is slower than his counterparts, and both soldiers, Drac and Starkey, taking a bit of high ground, spamming the demos out, so seeing if they can do anything. No aggression really coming whatsoever from both sides. The double bomb now coming from Silentis. All the soldiers on the server are flying around, and Disky gets cleaned up by Captain, and Tiger gets a frag onto Drac as well. But Condog gets a frag onto Gator, so that's actually alright for Ascent. I see a flank play maybe from Silentis. Is gonna come from IT, unannounced, unscathed. He's gonna go in, no Tiger is there, and now Condog has to be careful. He's a bit disconnected from his player, and Silentis does as well, and Ascent have no choice but to retreat now because Se7en is gonna take that first mid. And maybe they're gonna try to keep up the aggression. They could actually afford to do that, but Captain is not healthy enough to do it, so now they're gonna reset. Both teams have Uber, and Se7en takes that first mid.
It was a respectable approach for Ascent to try to play off of this player behind despite being already 2 down to 1. Managed to not lose anything off of it, which is already an achievement by itself against Se7en. So, respectable start to the game, but obviously not a mid-win they were looking for. Stark, however, dealing a lot of damage here against 2 people, gets one of them cleaned up eventually. Tiger comes there for the backup, wasn't quite necessary, still ends up getting a kill for it, and Se7en tries to do some more action here from Choke. In the meantime, Captain denied on this jump through by Sticky Trap, 2 down on each side here into this first stalemate.
Yeah, that Sticky Trap in the wall from a Disky claimed the frag onto Captain. Was trying to see if you could get Condog, but Condog was nowhere to be seen behind the shutter door. He was not healthy enough to show himself, and that was a correct play. And we could see on that first mid that Captain just went straight onto Disky's face, didn't give the Slovakian Demoman any time to breathe. He just wanted to show that this is the big boy playground, and there's no time for him to take it easy. He has to pop off right at the start of that map. Credo died, but it's not a sniper. Maybe some expected that to happen, but no. And now Ascent just all sitting here on Spire, and they're gonna wait for the bomb.
There we go, here it is, Stark flying straight in all the way up high, not died early enough, but also didn't know where Connor was, and he was just sitting all the way back, and no rockets really touching the medical man there, so no damage done. Jack trying his hardest to get through onto Raymond himself as well, but not getting let through at all by Tiger, shut down early. Quite a pushback all the way, almost dying as well to the counter question there by the scout. Will survive just barely, and it's not enough of an opening there for Tiger to make anything else happen of it, which is really unfortunate. So just a bit of soldier trading here at the moment.
And maybe after that second map, both teams are back on a more slow and steady playstyle. It's only one man sack so far, again, given we're only still early in that map, so there's no reason to take risk. And as I said, there's a lot of risk taken by Se7en here, making their way on through IT, seeing if they can make anything. They pulled Drac way back. They did a lot of damage on the roamer, and now Drac is actually on Spy. Wait, he has been for a while. I think I missed that part.
It's hard to deal damage to the Invisible Man if you don't know where he is. Se7en instead watching PC here, takes a bunch of damage, eventually cleaned up by Tiger, and with the Spy right now on the field, there's just so much less denial. The Scouts are still here, which is the important part, but you're still lacking some damage if something comes flying your way. Or if Se7en just wants to take some sort of aggressive approach here right now, which they might. They're fairly aggressive here on PC, but they also might just opt for a straight bomb, and that as a distraction here, coming in straight.
Gondok has
the damage.
The bomb from Sarki just launched. There were preemptive damage onto Kondog, and then the bomb from Sarki was efficient enough to launch Kondog into the air, and he would have cratered to death if he hadn't used here. So nice play here from Se7en, nice setup from Cadis and the rest of his team on IT, and then the nice follow-up from Starkey. So all in all, nice play. They're gonna take that second point for free, but Drac is still behind a Spy, and I don't know if Se7en knows about it, but Drac has been Spy for a while now, and he's really far back, so I'm expecting Se7en to take that Uber onto last. It's only 5 players for Ascent onto last, 6th if you count the gun, but the gun is gonna fall down quick enough. Yes, there's no gun anymore, there's no engine anymore, and this is Uber at 30% until Kondog gets his own Uber though, so Se7en, they have to be swift. Drac gets a frag onto Tiger on the backlines, but is that enough? Starkey died as well. This is looking good for Kondog, but no, Kondog is completely left alone because the Uber has been used to completely kill his bodyguard, and now it's 2 players, Adiski and Se7en against 4 players. There's no way they win that. Adiski trying to take a fight, doing actually decent damage onto Cadis, but this is not enough. The spawn coming though from Se7en. Everybody's weak here for Ascent, but no, there's no way they can make that fight. And all in all, Se7en, slow and steady, wins the fight.
Yeah, in this case, White so just taking the sweet time to cap the point and just getting the kill safely while still having enough time between the respawn waves to deal the damage they need to before people spawn. So timing everything perfectly there. As slow as it might seem, that was all in perfect timing for what it at least required, all of them.
And the second mid now, Se7en is leading 1-0 after 5 minutes. The bomb coming from Se7en straight onto Cadis, onto the point. He gets 1 rocket, gets another with the help of Drac, and now it's the answer coming as well onto Adiski, but Adiski this time was able to juke away the bomb from Starkey, and with 2 people down, Captain is trying his own job. He gets a frag onto Amp, this is okay, but now it's a 4-on-3, 3-on-3 now because the frags are coming and they're piling up, and now it's only Raymond and Tiger. They have to escape. Credu and Kondog are trying to go in, but they realize this is probably not the safest play here because the respawns are going to be better for Se7en. Cadis is coming back into that fight, and Drac is there as well on top. He has a high ground. It's another mid fight. First mid fight. This is a never-ending fight here, and Ascent still trying to see if they can make it happen, but the point position is now in favor of Se7en. The high ground is for Se7en. Ascent all kind of stuck up into their choke. There's no way they can actually take that fight. They're actually going for it. The bomb coming from Drac. It's a nice rocket to Raymond, who surfs away.
With a huge airshot on Captain as well, just swats him down mid-air. But the bomb onto Raymond was just not as successful, and they don't have much to play with right now. They don't have good position. Se7en caps the point. Ascent don't want to give this up at all though. They keep trying to aggress over this, and with some good damage they spawn Se7en down off the high ground, take it themselves. Might just be enough, but Se7en doesn't want to let this go either. Huge damage by Cadis onto everybody on the combo, but there's just nobody here to clean it up. Needs to hit damage himself. They get the force out of Connor. Eventually Remedy uses, but much better Uber for Se7en here. They lose players, so Connor's stuck completely in. And he will down really late. Amps still behind him. Is he able to clean up Captain there? He might just be. And he needs some help to actually make this work as well. Drag comes in straight from Choke. Will trade just barely. Raymond almost saving his Devilman's life. Now it's onto Disky. Tweets 2 shots. Gets one. Almost gets the melee kill, but the Rollers deny it ever so slightly for him. Huge fight there, going for way too long. And Ascent actually making a really good job to fight out of the corner there. But the UR exchange was just not good enough for them.
Yeah, they didn't realize they had weaker positioning compared to Se7en, and they went into a fight that it was really hard for them to win. And this is exactly what they do win again. The double bomb from Dragon to let us taking space for their team. This time this is executed way much better, and now Ascent will be able to take back their Spire and to reset onto that positioning. And you mentioned how that fight was really long, fight of attrition here, and looked like the spam from Cadus kind of made the difference onto the scouts from Ascent. Both Credo and Amps were attacked pretty heavily, they had to fall back, and in the end the Uber from Connacht was a bit poor. And now it's gonna be a slight Uber at for Se7en, trying to make their way through ramp. The bomb coming from Drac, he can't find Raymond who doesn't use his own Uber, and Ascent probably have to fall back. Amps and Silentes caught out of position. It's gonna be a 6-on-3. Yes, Ubers are even, but the numbers are heavily favoring Se7en now. Se7en who's making its way into last. They're trying to get some cap time already with hands of Talash. Talash gets cleaned up, but Raymond drops Conduct with an arrow, and he uses his own Uber. Now this is gonna be another one, and the clutch play from Raymond, or was it a mistake from Conduct? I don't know, but Se7en takes the second round.
In situations like this, you'd never expect a medic to hit the damage, and that's where like so many drops happen so many times. You are just perfectly aware as the medic of every damage coming your way, every projectile slowly coming your way, and how close the scouts are. But you just don't expect a medic, especially in a situation where you hope you would just use soon, so you can just use in return to shoot you as well. And the corner did not count for that.
2 quick rounds for Se7en. It's been less than 10 minutes and Se7en is already winning 2-0. Another bomb coming from Silentes. This time he's landing straight onto Tiger, and Captain can't really find the fight. He finally gets it, but Credu died as well. So it's kind of an even trade here. Credu was on sniper actually, so it was nice aggression here from Captain onto the sniper. And now it's going to be another even fight, but the heals looks a little better. And Conduct died too. A nice aggression from Sarky. Once again, Se7en looking like they read the situation a bit better, have a little better positioning, and they're taking another win.
Yeah, Se7en's players made a really good job to start going behind, dealing damage with it, and then come back later off of the damage where the rest of the combo already pushed up, getting a lot of space with that and cornering Ascent once again, but this time not playing slow enough for Ascent to be able to play out of the corner again, being able to make the comeback like last time. This time they played consequent and fast off their early aggression, just waiting for the players on the backlines to come back in and clean up of the damage, getting cornered really nice and early as well here to just make sure to have this Uber advantage into last.
The Uber is being used onto the left hand side onto Kados. They get the gun really early, and now there's a point play from Talash. He's not being contested quick enough, but now he finally is. Conduct is very far away from having his own Uber. Silentes dies as well. This is looking like a good fight for Se7en. Kados dies. Yeah, in the end they have more numbers. They're going to take another third big round, and everything is falling apart for Ascent.
Yeah, these last pushes are really strong for Se7en. Every time there's point play, the damage onto the players contesting is just there. In this case, an immediate pick, and then just some play on the flank as well to just further distract and just isolate Ascent to just have the easiest time to pick up the point eventually in that. And it's just really nicely coordinated. They don't need all the kills, and they really don't want them either.
And now Ascent, they need a reaction. They need to make something happen in their favor. Otherwise, it's gonna be a map for Se7en. The bomb is coming, no aggression this time for Silentes. Drake is going straight in, but he gets cleaned up by Kalash, and Credo dies as well. So this is looking bad at this key and Conduct. Everybody's falling apart, everybody's dying. Raymond survives 2 arms, and now it's only Silentes alone is sewers, but it looks like everything that's San is trying to do, Se7en nullifies it.
Yeah, it's just like a huge difference here in terms of strategy. Se7en just has such a huge grip on these mid fights right now, and it pays off immediately, getting all the kills this time. And again, just having super advantage that looks so threatening right now, with 3 rounds off of it already, straight back to back.
And another Uber used by Se7en into a sense last. They're getting the gun quite early. Another point there from Talash. It's already mid-cap, but he gets killed by Credu on heavy, was hiding by the door. And now it's Tiger who's gonna cap. He's been a bit challenged, but not enough. And this is complete crumble for Ascent. 30 minutes, and it's already 4-0 for a Se7en.
They must have felt confident going into this map here, but it looked like they need to do some more homework, and just like in school, homework is a bit too late when you're already in class. And in this case, Teacher 7 is already here pushing out the back grades straight in your face, and Ascent's just not ready for it at all. The mid-fights are not going well. Drag with different approach, going fast, going behind, but 7 just spots that immediately. 2 people on him in PCs on Sewer straight away, bump onto Raymond completely into nothing actually in the end, surfs away from it, and all this aggression just going nowhere whatsoever.
And Disky barely pumping any damage on those mid fights. He can't deny anyone from choke. And this is not the only reason why Ascent can't win those mid fights. This is obviously one of the big reasons, and now it's only a Disky alone on second. He's getting bombed by 2 players. He has to fall back. Kondok died once again. Disky's been trapped into the one. Is he gonna get spammed out? No, Captain died. Actually, Drak, what a play on the flank. He gets to the 2 soldiers from 7. Is that gonna be enough to slow down 7? Probably for a bit, but this is still a 100% Uber rat for 7, and they've been so efficient right now at pushing with those Uber rat. But Drak, what a monster! Gets a 3rd and a 4th frag here.
That is a potential huge turnaround. It is gets isolated though, wanted to find Raymond. Found just Starkey and Captain on the other end. Drag as well. They finally had something to play off and they just throw it away so quickly, trying just too desperately, and granted they don't have much time, but too desperately to try to find the force onto Raymond, and immediately it's just 2 picks going 7's way straight away. And they can play off that so freely into second, don't need to use it all, no danger on anyone. 7's anti, and it's just like nothing ever happened here. They still have this Uber into last. Granted, Connor is closer to having Uber than he ever was in this entire match, I would believe, but how much does it mean now?
7 are gonna wait. They know it's not an Uber advantage anymore, so they're gonna slow things down a bit. Maybe allowing Ascent to come back into that game. We'll see. Kratos on sniper. There was a gun. No, there was no gun this time. Just no off classes, but Kratos on sniper. Looks like Ascent are ready to maybe gamble all in when you don't have a gun or a heavy. When you hold last, it means you're ready to push out any second, any opportunity you're given. And apparently this is what Ascent is looking for, hoping for at least. But look at 7 being extremely cautious. As I say that, they sacked 2 players, both Starkey and Captain went in.
Connor survives on 3 HP, and Stark just hopes that the shutter door opens randomly, just hopes for the random shutter door opening to throw a rocket in there, but neither of them successful. A million hours on jump servers can't help you out if the medic is just not in reach whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't really know what Kondok was trying to achieve here. It was a bit cocky standing at the door because Starkey was so close to drop him. That was a bit risky. But yeah, in the end, the double sack didn't quite work out. There was a spy in AMS, but you got spotted early enough, and now Uber is being used on the right hand side. Disky is nowhere to be seen with the minigun, so he's getting killed here in that Uber from Talash. And now the bomb is coming from Starkey. The Uber is being used, but there's no demo anymore. It's probably a push up possible maybe for 7 if they want to rotate the hills and the positioning. It looks like Karius will want to make his way into that first door. As Silentes died, he was there to contest him, but he got cleaned up. Karius with another frag onto Credo. And yes, Raymond died, but maybe the aggression and the momentum will be enough for 7 if they can get more frags. Now it's only Talash alone against 3 players. If he can get the frag onto Kondok, that would be huge, but no, he gets cleaned up by 2 nice pipes from Disky, and what looked like a really bad situation from Ascent turned out to be a decent push-out opportunity.
This is such a huge lead for 7 though. They can't let this get to the head as hard as it is to play off the back of a 4-0 deficit this quickly into the match already. They need to play past that if they want to have any chance to get close to a win, or even let alone a gold cap. So let's see what they have here. And for the moment it's Silentis behind, Captain really weak, trying to wallbug there, and somehow Silentis misses him.
Oh, that was a bit unfortunate here from Silentis, and it's gonna be a Nibber ride for Kondok this time. I don't think we've seen that on that map so far, so it's gonna be a little unique situation to see Ascent making their way onto mid with a Nibber advantage. Raymond being really cautious, Credo being killed by both Hager and Captain with a nice focus fire onto the scout, and now Ascent, they have to push out. It's bad for them, they know about this. They're losing a scout, they're losing positioning, and they're losing their Uber ad. So it's gonna be now for 7 to make something happen, and with Credo dead, there's probably an opportunity here for either Captain or Starkey to bomb and dive onto Kondok. But it looks like 7, they are happy with their 4-round lead, and now they're making more thoughtful decisions.
Yeah, and the bigger this lead is, which obviously is the biggest it can possibly get, the more any few seconds of the clock mean, because you need so many more rounds than just a single one here. Stark flying in yet again, hitting a good jump, but not the good damage. Risky taking a bit, but no one else really, and there's absolutely no follow-up attempt whatsoever. Se7en just content with having one person die at most here, not risk too much else, because they just really don't need to. They can return the favor of Snakewater now, being in the lead here, in the demanding position where they can have to try their hardest to get anything going here. And for the moment, it's a rotation through PC straight in with UBF exchange, and actually getting Raymond to use super quickly as well.
Yeah, this is a classic AMS play, taking the Uber onto PC, trying to force the medic, catch someone off guard, and now the bomb coming from Se7en, trying to go behind, trying to draw some attention. Doesn't really quite work out for him, and Kondo could completely out of position. He was way too forward compared to his demo, and now this is looking bad for Ascent. They lost that medic, they lost their heals. It's a 3-on-3 in favor of Se7en because they have the heals, but Raymond a bit isolated, but Thagger doesn't agree with that, gets 2 frag both on Drac and Credu, who were trying to go for his medic. Now Diski is trying to choke in as well, but Thagger is there with the 3rd frag, with a little tone as well, and with that death from Condog, it could be the nail in the coffin for Ascent, because now it's gonna be a 50% Uber rat for Se7en.
Yeah, the team DM on Ascent, this entire map just has not been on point as it was for the majority of the other two maps we've seen so far. Just the coordination on these plays, on these aggressive plays, is just off. They had everything in place there to make some decent play onto the combo, but it was just not there. Most they've gotten was a bit of damage to people into Ems just running through 2 players before he eventually found his death onto the scout's hands. But is that enough? I don't think so, as the Uber comes already into last, and Se7en has been dangerously consistent, at least right now, getting corner immediately, couldn't serve away, gun goes down on top of that, the headshot rings out, but it doesn't find the kill.
And it's a 4-on-5 now for Se7en. They have the heals, they bombing in, try to get the frag onto Amps and Se7en. They get both of them, and now it's only a Diski. And yeah, this is it, 5-0 for Se7en, and the least that we could say is that this map has been a bit anticlimactic.
Yeah, for sure. I expected this one to be the closest one, but everything else was at the end of this day. And with all respect to Diski, you can't blame it on him. They were just utterly outclassed on this map on pretty much every single point, to the degree where, like, whatever you regard as the best demo man at any point in TF2, it wouldn't have made a difference here.
Yeah, I think so too. It might have been some kind of impact, but in the end, I think like Se7en was really above Sen, head and shoulders here. No discussion, no argument to be made. And Se7en takes that series, two maps won, and they're advancing to the grand finals, have they had done countless times in the past. But it is not over for Ascent yet. They have one more game, one redeeming game against Swift in the lower bracket, and if they win that, they will meet again with Ascent, with Se7en in the grand finals. But this was a bit sad to see that 3rd map. We can take a look at the logs. I doubt they are really telling, because it was just Se7en's game.
Yeah, I think the only stat in the log that matters is the one that shows the mid fights being completely blue, and that was just pretty much curtains for all but the last round straight away.
Yeah, it's pretty. We saw quite some mids. 2 of them went through almost another 1 minute and 30 seconds mark. So this is how dominant Se7en has been. I mean,
yeah, they are just so consistent at these, and Ascent just didn't find an answer at any point.
Yeah. So that's what happened. Raymond died once. He had 2 kills, one death. So that's a pretty good ratio, to say the least. And yeah, Se7en just showing they were the best team. They took that sweet time. It's a bit late now. At
least they made it quick now.
Yeah.
So didn't take too much longer than it should have at the end. That makes up for the server delays, yeah. This was all deliberate, so they can all go to bed early.
Considering how late it is, I don't know if we're gonna get any people coming from interviews. But apparently we're getting people, so we're gonna question them a bit, and then we'll call it a day or night. We are joined by Thalash from Se7en. We're not gonna wait any longer to see if any more people are coming. So hi Thalash, congratulations on your win. You took time to win that series, but what was the key factor that made process so one-sided?
Captain really wanted to go to bed.
Fair
So
enough.
in the future, he just has to play tired.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think the first couple of maps had like a slow start, and we kind of get sucked into, the start of the game, how that's sort of going, and then we don't really up the momentum or anything like that. Whereas in process, we had good mids and we got up early, and we kind of can keep it rolling then, which is like a struggle if it's a bit like a slow start to a game or we go down 1-0. We don't really have the I don't know what to call it, confidence, or just like it's not in our head how to play those situations. Whereas on process, I don't know, if we get that start every time, then I guess that's good. But I think it was also like a mid factor, and Snake's a bit of a weird map for us. It's pretty 50-50.
Yeah, about maps, I remember last season grand finals, Amps told after the map that the map picks doesn't have that much impact. But yeah, you've lost with Se7en. You've lost 3 maps this season, and twice it was on Snake. So would you say that is, I don't know, this is your weak link, or is there something that you think you guys can change before finals? Because obviously that's something that your opponents will keep in the back of their heads before facing you.
I don't know. I don't think our Snake's that bad, to be honest. I think it's just the way these 2 games have gone that we've lost. Like the early stages of the map has been pretty bad for us. So I guess we need to figure out how to start off better on Snake in the first couple of like 5-10 minutes. But in general, I think our play is actually pretty solid on Snake. We have really good ideas for pushes and holds and stuff like that. It's just the early game that we struggle in if we ever end up behind.
Okay, so now you're advancing to grand finals. You kind of know your way around here by now. You've been there quite some times. Do you have so Ascent is going to play Swift? Do you have any teams that you'd rather face, or do you just prepared whoever going to come your way?
I suppose we're mostly prepared for Ascent, but I don't know who I'd rather face. I suppose Ascent is most likely going to be the better game, but whichever team shows up when Ascent and Swift play is obviously gonna. I think it's quite close between those 2, so it just depends on the day, really. But I assume Ascent are gonna come out on top, so we're mainly, I suppose, preparing for them.
Dom, do you have any questions?
I think he explained things fairly well, so let's just call it a night because it's already late after the server delays.
Correct. So Talash, do you have any shoutouts before going to bed?
Shout out to my team, I suppose, for pulling through in a long series, and thanks to you guys for covering the match.
Oh wait, I think I see Amps in the interview me channel.
Rest in peace.
Get him out.
Amps, are you there? Are you still awake?
I'm here for the interview.
Okay. We've been a bit over them with Talash, but I guess we can spare a few questions for you. I think the biggest question is what happened. You looked okay after Snake and then completely crumbled. Do you think? I mean, you changed demo. Do you think it has that big of an impact?
I mean, I guess it has some impact. I don't think that's why we lost. I don't think that's like the sole reason. I mean, it probably contributed to us, getting rolled. But I think we were just like a lot worse on mids. I think the way their soldiers play mids is really fucking hard. Sorry for swearing. It's really hard for me to deal with it. I don't know, like
That's
I can't
fine,
kill them. They're like really good on mids. Yeah, it is what it is.
Okay, so you kind of was the same of the kind of series that you had against Swift, where you lose the first map, then you manage to pull through and to win the second. I don't know. Do you have any kind of mental setting that makes you guys being able to bounce back? Because this is quite like usually when you lose a map, it's really hard to stay in the game. But how do you guys manage to? What would you say is the biggest factor for you guys to stay into those games and manage to win the map after you lose the first one?
Well, Granary was their pick, and if you compare like how we played Granary today to how we played Granary against Swift, I'd say I'm pretty proud of how much we improved on that map. I don't think we had a bad performance on Granary at all. I think getting a good score against Se7en on Granary is good enough. It was their pick, so yeah, like we were a bit upset after because we felt like we were in the position to win that map, and then we just kind of threw it away with some pretty bad decisions, like some rushed fights. I don't know. Like we could have won that, but we shrugged it off because it's their pick, and Snakewater was our pick, so we knew we could win that regardless of the result on Granary. Yeah, we don't really tilt as a team. Like sometimes if you listen to our comps, like it sounds pretty intense because everybody's played this game for long enough that nobody really wants to fuck about anymore. Like nobody shows up every night to like lose, so people are like serious and they're like passionate about the game, and that's why it's intense sometimes. But we don't really tilt. Like even on process, we're getting rolled, but we're still like trying to find a way to turn it around. And unfortunately, we couldn't. But like everybody in the team has enough experience to know that it's not going to help anyone to just like tilt and start crying about it. But yeah, it didn't help us this time. But yeah.
Okay, that's what you'd like to hear. One question left because it's getting late, especially for you, Ams. So you're gonna face Swift again in the lower bracket. You've won against them the last time you faced them. Do you have any special trick up your sleeves? How do you go into that final game against Swift, final showdown?
I think we'll just kind of play similar to how we played against Se7en today. Just like take it chill. I think we don't really have to do anything special. I think as long as we just play our game and hit our shots, like that game's in the bag as far as I'm concerned. But obviously I expect a tough fight from them. They're all like probably really like motivated to try to beat us. So yeah, we'll show up and try to do our best. It'll be fine, hopefully.
Cool. Do you have any shoutouts? We already the one from Talive. So do you have any shoutouts, Ams?
Yeah, shout out to my team. I'm sorry for being bad on process. And yeah, shout out to Se7en for a good game, and maybe an apology for a little bit of BM.
Your BM doesn't phase me, kid.
I hope we're all cool. Yeah, good games.
Dom, do you have any shoutouts yourself before we close out?
Shoutouts to my boys on Spy Boys for making me sub literally anything but my main class. It's been a lot of fun, and for just hanging about when I'm watching people jump, I guess.
Okay. So shoutouts to both teams. Shoutouts to Beater on production as well. We're gonna make it short. It's late, so make sure you tune in for the 2 games we have left in that season 32 playoffs. It's gonna be Ascent against Swift, and then whoever wins that is gonna face Se7en, and then it's gonna be Copenhagen. So a lot of good games coming up our way. So stay tuned in to teamfortress.tv. Se7en wins against Ascent 2-1, and we'll be in the grand finals. Have a good evening, everyone.